Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 28 of Third Man In. I'm Mike Hickey, and today I'm joined by...
It's TR.
Chuck's not here yet. He'll be around a little bit later as we have our guest, Chris Dingman, join us as well. But for right now, you got me and TR here on Third Man In, brought to you by Head Check Health. Chuck, I guess, will be the third man in who joins us a little bit later.
You got it.
It's like one of the few times our name makes sense, as opposed to just being a hockey reference with three.
Well, yeah. Some people have brought that up before.
Yeah. It's like, well, there's three. The guest is always the fourth. But it's like, yeah, but there's three.
As long as they're talking.
Yeah, who cares, man? So we're here off a huge week for us. It's been great. The response to coming back for season 2 with Ron McLean's been incredible. So many people have said so many great things to us about that episode. And,
has it, by the way? Because I've been gone. I didn't know.
The episode's it's been doing great. It's been doing huge numbers for us. The reviews, the ratings, all that stuff's been great. People coming back to us on social media, talking to us on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. We really appreciate it. It's been deadly. Because, TR, you've been gone because you've been off in Sudbury.
Yeah, man, what a time. It was a real thrill. I really love the show Letterkenny, and I got a chance to, live out a dream. And, when I say dream, would be on Letterkenny. I've done some acting, obviously. It's what I do, but it's part of what I do. But I've been watching this show for a while. I think it's a little slice of Canadiana in all different directions. I think it's really well written, and I think the characters are really well cast. So it was a really exciting time. I can't really give away what I did on there. I think it'll be out October 14th, I believe. But
which is also nuts to think that they were shooting this weekend for a show that's going to drop on Crave on like a month and a half from now. They're going to release an entire season.
Yeah, man.
Which is just madness. But yeah, you're right. It's like if anybody came up in a small town in Canada, this is kind of exactly what that...
I just love it. I love all the premise of and I won't give too much away, but just watch a trailer. If you've never heard of it, then you're in Canada, then give your head a shake.
Yeah.
But it's not
Smart
easy
enough,
to it's not easy to access though, like because it's on Crave. I think Hulu in the States.
I think so. Yeah, and
but
I mean it's
not on Netflix.
Because Crave is its network, right? And Crave is its own on-demand service. So that's where it comes up. You can find a lot of the stuff on YouTube. They do some like longer form stuff because it all kind of came out of a YouTube series. It was Letterkenny Problems, which was just the guys chirping, which was really funny, and then it became the series, and now they've done Little Kenny, which is really fun. They did a as like kind of a filler thing because normally they drop a series like every July, and then like every Christmas has kind of been what their usual thing is. And this year they're not going till October, but they dropped like these mini animated episodes that were super fun that came out this past summer.
I'll tell you something funny now. This is true. So that before I went up, the wardrobe lady phoned me. Ginger, forget her last name, really nice girl that really helped me out when I got there and had all the equipment ready, had a coffee ready, whatever I wanted right off the bat. They really treated me well, and Ginger I had to work with a lot because I was only in the one scene.
Mm-hmm.
But, wardrobe is a big part when you're playing, I won't get too far into it and give away the plot line. But she called. So there's someone in my scene that it requires, the way Letterkenny is. It's a lot of banter back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So as she called me about a month ago, and she said, it's funny. The person that you're in this scene with is almost exactly your size. All the measurements and everything, because they're how big is your waist, your hat size, everything. So it all kind of matched up. And then she said, I wonder who it is. And I said, well, you're looking at the name. She goes, no, I lost the name. I can't remember. So she said, like, do you know who you're in this scene with? And I said, no. And, I'll probably just find out when I'm there. And I was thinking, because I heard a few hockey players are getting into acting now, like Sean Avery, I heard. And, I was just thinking maybe she's referring to a hockey player or whoever it might be, or if it's a Newfoundlander. I mean, who could it be? Hawko can skate, but, I'm trying to think of who they would reach out to. Mark O'Brien, maybe?
Yeah.
So I threw out their names, and she's like, no, I would know. So take a slurp of my coffee. So anyway, right after that, my buddy Graham Cook, he's not an actor. Graham Cook is a buddy of mine. He used to play hockey with me. I played hockey with his brother Justin as well, and those early teams I told you about. that left Newfoundland. Justin was a prospect, a year older than me, a big centerman. Ended up going to Queens, I believe, and playing university hockey. And Graham Cook, his brother, is a couple years younger than me, one of the best goalies from Newfoundland, I would think, ever. He played junior A and everything, but he went up to Saskatchewan and came back because he went to med school, so he didn't really pursue hockey. I mean, he had other options, but he was great, got a few herders. And he moved to Ottawa, so he just called me right after I hung up the phone from Ginger, and he said, I just read your book. He said, it's been sitting here. I supported you 4 years ago when it came out. It's been sitting here, but I just decided to read it. He said, I read it in the morning. It's a really quick read, 4 or 5 hours. And he said, I just wanted to call you rather than text you because it really meant a lot to me, and it was a great book, and, it brought back a lot of memories. And, he thought from his perspective, with me in Newfoundland, we see it from the same kind of angle. So he said, it was great. And then he said, are you in Ottawa anytime soon? I said, no, I'm not. But when I am, I'll let you know. It's usually a year or two doesn't go by. I'm not there. And I hung up. I thought about it. I said, I'm going to be in Sudbury, and it's a long way from Ottawa. But maybe I'll stop on the way home and see Cookie, or maybe he'll be in Toronto, or maybe. Mm-hmm. So I just figured I'd call him back. I said, I appreciate the phone call, so rather than even text, I'm going to call you back. And I said that phone call meant a lot to me. I haven't talked to him in a while. Again, one of my best friends. Yeah. But you go years sometimes, right? Yeah, exactly.
Growing up, right? It's what happens. You just
exactly, yeah, growing up. And that little
growing old. I don't know how much growing up either one of us has done, but
good point. And he says, I said, well, I'm going to Sudbury, and maybe on the way back you can meet me in Toronto, which is I ended up going to a Jays game and going to Mill Street Brewery. And he said, wait. He said, no, I can't do that. And he said, I'm busy that weekend anyway. But he said, why are you going to Sudbury? And I'm not kidding you. Mm. I went, well, I'm going there to do a TV show. And he said, are you blank in this show? This name. And I said, let's say it's not, but let's say Frank. Because, again, I don't want to give away. I don't know what I'm allowed to give away and what I'm not. And I've already fucking put pictures up on Instagram. I erased them since, but, we went out that night and got loaded. And, it's one thing you don't do in the industry is put out shit before it comes out. So, anyway, I said, okay, yeah. I said, I am Frank, let's say. And I said, how in the fuck did you know that? I said, all I did was say I was going to Sudbury. So his brother Patrick is an actor. Yeah. Patrick moved away in the late 90s. Okay. And I haven't, I know Patrick. I saw him at Graham's wedding about 4 or 5 years ago, but that was the last time, and I don't see him a lot. I played hockey again with Patrick's two brothers. I just told you about Graham and Justin. And he said, because Patrick is so-and-so. Yeah.
Hilarious.
In the scene with you. I said, are you kidding? And that was right after Ginger called me. Yeah. And I didn't know who it was. She didn't know. It could have been anybody in Canada. Yeah. It could have been the car dealership I went into. I bought a new car, by the way. It could have been the car dealership I pulled into right after that. It could have been, the fucking restaurant I ate at on the way home. It could have been the server. It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. And it just happened to be Graham's brother, who phoned me right after, and who phones anymore? Yeah, right. Who phoned me right after I'm driving down Kemont Road.
And then you even called him back. It wasn't part of the initial conversation. You called him back just to say, "Hey, I'm going to be in the province because of this."
Yes, in Sudbury, sakes. And he says Sudbury. Yeah, wait, and he knew right away. Yeah, I'm like, holy shit, that's just one of those lightning in a bottle kind of.
And it's just
I don't say karma. It's just an unbelievable coincidence.
It's right? And I mean, it's also the worst because it's that case of like, you're from Canada, so you must know so and so. You're from Newfoundland, you must know, and you're like,
literally the next.
It's just the worst when it actually happens, right?
It's the worst. Yeah,
but you had a good time hanging out with them.
Oh man, it was a blast. We shared the same trailer. We got caught up, but it's great because I would never talk to Patrick about his acting or anything. He left years ago, and every time we would see each other, I'm not real close with Patrick. I'm closer with his brothers, but at the wedding or whatever, it was just banter about this, that, or the other thing, almost small talk. Yeah. But now it's great, and he's got a few gigs coming up there that we have the mutual friends sharing the experience. So, definitely I talked to him this morning, so it'll and not only that. Everybody treated me well, but I got to say, Jarrett Kiso, that writes that show and plays Wayne, he went way out of his way to really, really help me out. We went there. Again, I can't really say how, or what the scene is, but And just to be a cool guy, like I went up, I didn't know anybody there, Mike. I walked
Yeah.
in. Patrick was next to me in the trailer, so Patrick and I got our food. We went over, and you know the way it is in a group lunchroom,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a film lunchroom. There's people everywhere, and Wayne was got to be one of the more, Jarrett got to be one of the more popular guys on set, being the you know, the guy who created the whole show and acts in it. So he just came over and ate with us. Like he spent a half hour, and really it was down to earth. And whatever we needed and all those things. And he came over afterwards and made sure that we made sure that we were taken care of. So it wasn't only, sometimes, you know, you meet, again, I don't want to say idol, that's a wrong word, but I love that show. Sometimes you meet people that, you know, you expect to be larger in life and they're pricks. And, you know, I probably just wouldn't tell you if that was the case, but this was.
You wouldn't bring it up. You just say it was all right. But
yeah, exactly. He was fucking great. And what a fucking time. Now, I'll tell you this, though, on the way back.
Yeah.
And you know, as the end of that story goes, so whatever, I went to Toronto. I saw Jay's game. It was awesome. I went down to Mill Street. It was the
Saturday or Sunday? Did you see the Verlander no?
Saturday. No. I saw the Saturday game. And then I went over to Mill Street to meet some people that, you know, because I just got a job here in St. John's with Mill Street. But, you know, I'm in Toronto a lot and meet those people, good relationships. Jack Smith really took care of us. Thanks a lot, Jack. And I saw my buddy Tran Sam with, so it was all good. But then in the airport.
Sam, man, how's he doing?
Sam, man, yes, geez, he was a guest. He's doing awesome.
That's great.
Really, he's real busy with work, so he came out for a few, and we had a bite to eat, and then actually he was nice enough to have me stay at his place. So, but I was gone at 6 or 7 in the morning. I went over to do some shopping at the Eaton Center and came back. But so that's not really a story. But when I hit the airport, okay, so I hear my flight being called, and I've had all morning because my flight's at like 1:30. Yeah. And now, as always the case, like I'm fucking around here and there. I'm listening, you know, buying shit I don't need to get, you know, earphones, going over, getting a coffee. So finally, I can't believe that I'm late because I really got to take a whiz. So I run in the fucking bathroom, and you know, the urinals are lined up, right? So, but I go over to like stop up, pull up in front of the fucking first urinal. Except I got my cowboy boots on, which, you know, smooth bottom, and there's, I guess, I'd love it to be water, but I guess there's piss under the fucking urinal. You know what I mean? That happens, like some spray gets down on the ground or whatever it might be. I don't pay attention to the bottom of urinals, but this was the case. So I fucking slipped. So my cowboy boot goes out under me. I got nothing to grab onto. It's just open space, but I'm going backwards. So your reaction is for your hands to flail behind you and your arms. Well, my fucking right elbow went right off the fucking urinal behind me. Ceramic, is it? Is that what it is? It fucking, porcelain, whatever. It fucking hit. And boom, I thought I broke my arm. I thought for sure I'm absolutely yelling. I'm screaming. I'm late for my flight. So I just had to kind of get on the flight. And anyway.
It's terrible to think that, like, you played pro hockey, you've gone all this way, you've done all these things, you're there acting, and then it's a fucking pisser and Pearson that takes you down.
I know. Yeah, really. And the thing is, I'd hit my elbow. I don't wear elbow pads in ball hockey, and I'd hit it a few weeks before. So it was already like I had a bit of bursitis on it, but it was going away. But now, so by the time
super swollen there now.
Super. So halfway through the flight, and I just did this, but I want to get on. It's halfway through the flight, it's up like a balloon. But I think I've got, as you can see, a cut on it. So it was so big that it burst open. It would normally bursitis can't burst open, but I got a cut on my elbow, right? So it burst through this. And now I got all this like warm liquid all over my fucking shirt, all over. I'm trying for people not to see it because there's some kind of medical emergency I'm going through, right? So then I get back.
Because also, like, you know, blood clots and all kinds of shit like that are like such a thing on planes because of the altitude. Like, I'd also be like,
it was terrible.
All that shit would be going through my head, and I'd just be like, oh man, this is gonna be
everything was going through my mind.
Oh, dude.
And I hadn't told anybody because I just wanted to get on the flight. Had I told the flight attendant, I wouldn't have been able to get on the flight. I don't.
Yeah,
think.
They probably would have like stopped you.
Something. You're not going to let someone with a leaky faucet, you know. And it was right to that point, like the bottom. Like I said, I had a cut. It was seeping when I got on the plane, but it burst on the plane.
Yeah.
So anyway, got back here a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and I'm looking down, and my whole arm and my shoulder starts hurting. So I'm thinking I put my elbow out, is what happened, and it's stretching my bicep and my tricep and all those muscles. Oh. So I figured, fuck it, it's Labor Day, Labor Day, it's Monday. Yeah. I said, I'll go in, and I at least got to get this drained. But I nearly waited because I just thought the pain was coming from the fact that my elbow was out of socket or something, because if you look at it, it looks like that.
So this happened Sunday?
Sunday.
Okay. Yeah.
But then fucking Monday,
Yeah.
dude, it's big. Like when I went into the hospital, it's massive. I was going to get it drained.
Could you even bend it?
It got to the point I couldn't bend. So I just thought, again, all the ligaments were fucked up or something, but I couldn't, it was seized up. So I'm in there, and yesterday I go to emergency on Labor Day. I'm not kidding you. I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I ended up spending 8 hours before I even got seen.
I know. We were going back and forth because we were talking about recording yesterday, but couldn't because this happened and you were stuck so long.
Totally. So all these people are there fucking waiting, right? But I only got an elbow problem. So I'm thinking, I feel really bad. So like I'm giving up my seat, like there's girls coming in that are like pregnant, that have morning sickness, that need to see someone right away, and so I just go over. I put on Letterkenny on my phone and just put one earphone in, and I sat on the floor and I just waited all day, and it's killing me, like I'm in that kind of pain. But I'm thinking it's just this physical pain. I even said to you guys, it's not how bad can it be? It's an elbow.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went over to the register lady, whatever the fuck.
Triage nurse?
Triage nurse, thank you.
There you
Jesus, go. Nice save. Nice save. I wouldn't have come up with that either. So the triage nurse, I go over and I'm like, look.
The register lady.
The register lady. What the fuck am I, in 1920? Anyway, so I'm thinking, I just go in, I say, like, how much longer? Because I said, I can come back in the morning. And I said, I'm not complaining, because a lot of people go in, right, I'm not waiting any longer.
Yeah.
Fuck this, you know what I mean? And people get in there for 15 minutes and think they actually think that they're doing us all a favor by complaining. But I'm like, dude, I've been here for fucking 8 hours. You can't last 15 minutes? What do you think, you're more important than we are? But I don't want to be one of them. So I just go over and I say, look, just tell me. If I'm fifth in line, I'll wait. Yeah. If I'm fucking 20th in line, and it's only an elbow.
And I mean, it's also that thing with the case of register lady. It's like you might be fifth in line, but then 10 people with more severe stuff might come in, and all of a sudden you're 16th.
And it makes sense,
and that all makes sense. So like, she can't tell you you're fifth in the queue. She can just say it'll be a while. Like that's all she can do, right?
Totally. So,
I know, because I'm always that dude who's just like, please just tell me if I can go home out of it.
Well, to be honest, that's what I was going to do. I said, like, I'm in a lot of physical pain. I said I might even have a broken arm. But I said, like, there's people, I get it. And, someone comes in, a lot of people are in major, major pain. They're coming in, or they're dying. Or they're bleeding. Like, so you're in emerge, you're not in the GP anymore. So I say this, and the lady looks at my arm, and she goes, what? You can't fucking move it? I said, no. And then I showed her the problem. Yeah. So she looks at it, she's like, Jesus. So the next thing I get called right away, and now I do look like a prick. Yeah. But I said to everybody, I honestly, on the way out, I said, I just went over to her. I did not complain. Yeah. I said I'd go home. Yeah. But I look like I was trying to put myself, and then they're seeing, like, some of them recognize me, so they're like, oh, I see.
Celebrity treatment of St. Clair.
I see. Fucking celebrity gets to get in. I hate using that word, but, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're fucking
Oh, of course. Yeah. He's on third man in. He was on Spittin' Chicklets last week. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, now all of a sudden, that wasn't what I was thinking.
Number one hockey podcast in Canada. He gets seen right away.
So I fucking...
Like how I snuck that in? It was good.
Yeah. Nice. And fucking, I go back, and she comes out to me. She goes, son, that's infected. And that didn't cross my mind. Because again, I'm thinking that my arm is seizing up because it does look out of socket. I cracked it off the thing. Yeah. But she's like, no, fuck, it didn't go out of socket. She goes, you cracked it, and you might, and now I had x-rays, and I got some kind of fracture in there. Yeah. But it's just the end of...
Like a tuft fracture.
I got a lot of bone chips.
Yeah, it's a tuft fracture.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. You're more of a doctor.
I know. I have one in my thumb from working on a set. I had I was gripping on a movie, and I have a tuft fracture in the top of my thumb. It will never heal. Well, that's the story with the tuft fracture.
Great to know.
Yeah.
But
it won't hurt, but it just will never.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So
they're not taking that shit out.
And there is pain there from that. Yeah. It's just that. And she's like, I can totally see why you think. I said, look, my arm looks out of place, but I guess it's just that it's so swollen at the end of it. Yeah. And I said, I thought it was pulling down on my shoulder and everything, but what was happening is that the infection was going further and further up my arm. Yeah. So my whole fucking bicep, tricep, into my shoulder, into my, you should see the path this thing took. It's like a slithery snake of a virus or something, and it's going up my arm. So that's why I put out something out there on Instagram today with the IV. So she's like, you don't even have time to take pills. She's like, we got to get you on an IV. So I spent last night in the hospital. She gave me Gravol, morphine.
You stayed overnight?
Antibiotics. No, but I was there for
by
5.
How long you were fucking there? Yeah.
I was there for after I said I waited 8 hours. Well, then I got in and I was probably another 5.
Fuck.
So I didn't stay all night, but enough to get the the IV in. It was the wee hours.
Jesus.
And then I had to go back right away this morning after another 6 hours and get another treatment. And then after this, I had to get another one.
But how long does that part? You just go in and say, hey, I just need this, and they hook
I
you
just
up right
go
away?
into emergency with this. I leave my registration bracelet on,
All
and
right.
it takes them about 20 minutes to concoct the formula.
Yeah.
And when I just sit there and wait and go in. But yeah, I mean, and she told me, she's like, I don't want to laugh at this.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good thing. Look, dude, I nearly let that go and just thought that I had a bruised arm.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was so seized up that
Yeah.
I figured I had to go in. I couldn't move it 1 inch down or 1 inch up. It was just killing me. And to find out that it was an infection, like nothing like that has ever happened to me in my life. Like, if I let that go longer, I would have lost my fucking arm, man.
Yeah, fuck.
And she told me that straight up. Like, I was like, Jesus.
And that's like, fuck, like that's always so fucked. And that's why, like, and I get it. It's, you went in, you were there for fucking 8 hours. And so when you're like, it's just a bit of pain, I'll be fine. Your initial reaction is like, it's a bit of pain, I'll be fine. I won't, won't bother, whatever. But like when I cracked a rib, like fucking 6 months ago now, and I went to the hospital just because it was getting worse and worse over like the sake of a few hours. And because it was a rib, it was just like, okay, if it like splintered and actually like your lung is right there, you don't want to fuck around, go get an x-ray. And so I went, and when I went in right away, they brought me to get blood work done, and they got me to get an x-ray. And then they sat me around for 5 hours in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Like it was that, like they rushed me in right away to make sure that those two things were fine. And once they cleared those, then it was like, you're fucking fine. You can sit here for all goddamn night. But in your case, it was like, over the 24 hours from when it happened to when you got to the hospital and waited, you got there and they were like, it's not that big a deal. And then a couple hours later, you're like, is this all right? And they're like, get the fucking in the room and see a doctor, right?
And as long as we're talking about it, I do want to say, because I told some of my friends that yesterday over Instagram, some of my American friends. Now, today I went in to get my treatment done. There's only 4 people there, but I would still, I get it, like, and they're like, oh, you wouldn't have to wait down here. No, but I'd have to pay $3,000.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So I would still really, yesterday was Labor Day, which I'm not saying that there are a lot of violence or problems happen. It's not like a full moon or something on Labor Day, but it's a holiday.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like, if they got something that's creeping up, or they'll go in, and you can't. And when it's a holiday on Monday, you can't get into the GP anyway.
Yeah.
So everybody that had any kind of problem was there. Like I went in today, I could have gotten in a couple hours. What do you expect to wait to see something? But I got out of there all taken care of and everything, and it's paid for by the taxpayer. But it's something that, having lived both lives, or in both places, I still really, really think that our healthcare system is second to none. Although I shouldn't say second to none; they got it all over the world. But you can always be improved on. But I think we are treading the right.
I
waters.
mean, obviously at the end of the day, because like you said, it's Labor Day, so not only people that have had shit on the go the weekend, people who can't get into their doctor about stuff, but it's also just like somebody who's had something kind of bugging them for a little bit that hasn't been able to take time off work is like, it's a day off now, so I'll go and I'll take care of it.
A lot of kids were there. They got something. It's like, you know what? Maybe get them seen before school starts.
Exactly. Like it's all those things. So it's just like, it's just that surge of Labor Day, of any kind of stat holiday, emergency room wait times peak. And that's just kind of what it is. And like you said, it's not a first come, first serve thing. It's a severity thing. And until they realize, when they think it's just like a displaced elbow, it's taken some time. As soon as they realize you have an infection, you need to go on IV medication right away. They got you in right away. So I mean, it's one of those things. Thankfully, though, you got it taken care of before anything was too late. You still got your arm. You go back and get your little IV thing again tonight.
It's all good.
And then you're good. You're golden.
Yeah, and I can already, as you see now. That being said, I just took some Tramadol. I got those in me, but it's getting a bit better. As long as the pain isn't in my shoulder anymore. But I want to go. So, as long as we're talking about hospitals and physical issues like that, I want to just go in a different direction for a second. That's okay. Do we have time?
Yeah, totally. Well, loads of time.
So since I was on Spit and Chicklets a few weeks ago, and they featured us and my family and all that, you start to get. It's not that new, I guess, being an ex-Canadian and all that. And people reach out, but you start to get people that like really reach out. They're either like real. They got real good stuff to say or real bad stuff to say. Yeah. So and a lot of them, I just got a public account, so I even got, I think, my phone number and my email and my Facebook. So
You also gave it out in the last episode.
I gave it out in the last fucking episode. Yes. So, and I don't mind that. I don't mean people reaching out. It's been a bit overwhelming because I got to get back to like 200 people a day. I don't like to leave one unnoticed, but some people got real issues, and most, just text to say, great job on the show. Where can we listen to Third Man In? Or, I used to be a Montreal Canadiens fan. I used to be a Tri-City American fan. Like, a lot of people reach out, and it's generally good things to say. And I like bantering with fans like that, or else, none of us would ever be anywhere. The NHL wouldn't exist if, you didn't have these fans that supported it. So, and I'm not trying to be cliche, but some people send some messages that are deeper than others. So one fan, I'm not going to say the name, but he reached out, and we've often talked about the mental health side of it. And, early in the episodes of Third Man In, I talked about seeing Wayne Halliwell, who was a sports psychologist in Montreal. I really I didn't think I was going out on a limb saying that. A lot of people are thanking me, and they say, thanks for admitting that you had a mental health issue. Like, first of all, I think we all do at some point. I mean, it's human nature, isn't it? I mean, some people are worse off than others, and some people really need to see people ASAP if they haven't. But I just always thought, Wayne, he's a sports psychologist. He's there. I'm on the Montreal Canadiens. I got major issues that I'm frustrated with. Rather than go to the coach or GM, I would go to him first at the time.
Yeah.
Unless I had a question about like the power play or something. But I mean, yeah, it'd be weird to go to Wayne and say, Wayne, what do you think I should do in this one-on-one situation out of the corner? But but I would just talk about, having the pressure maybe of a first-round pick, or when I went through that concussion, it can get really down. You get anxiety and, depression. And I think depression, a lot of it comes with, once you have a lot of issues, like that kind of makes you depressed. So like if I was getting up and I had anxiety, I don't know, about a game that night, and I didn't think, I was ready for the NHL, or I was really nervous. Or let's just say you get injured. I had that concussion, and I can't play. I made the team when I'm 19, and I can't go in the lineup, and that'll make you depressed. So a lot of it is one thing, chicken or the egg. So depression it's easy to talk about, or it should be. I shouldn't say. But it's easier for me just because I went through it for a long time and I had a good support system. There was guys on my team, like I said before, that used Wayne and talked about me and encouraged it. Scott Thornton and Turner Stevenson, I don't know if they ever used him, but I remember them encouraging it. I didn't even know about him before that, and it was great. So anyway, I'm going to tell you, I wrote myself a message. The other night I was out and I was having a few beers, and I read this message because, again, it's hard to get back to everybody. So sometimes I'm having a few beers, and I'll look down at my phone, and I'll crash out like maybe 15 messages. So I was waiting for the Sandman to come see me, Trans Sandman. So I had some time. So I got a note written to myself. Let's see if this makes much sense now. So I'm trying to explain my anxiety. Okay, so there's depression, anxiety, like when your finances are low. Okay, so so for me, I've been there like real recently too. That if you don't have money to support your family, or you're treading that line, or there might be a threat, you might lose your house or whatever it might be. Those things trigger anxiety and depression, right? But even if that doesn't happen, like for me, and I've been there, but that would be a natural depressor.
It's like it's a stressor that will trigger other thoughts. Like if you can't, if you're feeling stressed about providing for your family or whatever financial, like that stress will just hit your self-worth, and that can trigger
exactly, self-worth. You're right, that's exactly. So I consider that. I mean, now, and I've had that happen. I mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't affect some people more than others, but that's like depression, anxiety. But like I always get anxious, and I'll tell you, I tried to get to the root of it. So I wrote myself a message, and I just started it. Like if I have idle time, I feel I have to use it or experience something. Again, I'm just going to stop right there for a second. A lot of people think that for me, first of all, I get depressed, but they go, "Oh, you bounce back from." I bounce back because I grab the bull by the horns eventually. But I'm not saying I don't get fucking depressed about it. And when I have idle time, it's really weird. So I get more anxiety the less I have to do. So because I feel like there's something I have to do. And you know what? This is going to sound fucking crazy. Okay. I'll go on my message. This sounds great, but can be overwhelming because the reason for panic is that I feel like I'm on a timeline. We all die, and I can feel the clock ticking. I wrote this to myself. Not because I'm 42, because I have the gift of life, and I know the other side of the coin is death, even though it's human nature. That all started with my concussion in 1996. The reason is because I felt slightly vulnerable. I felt like Superman up to that point. All of a sudden, I realized that someday I'm going to die. It opened my mouth. Oh, wait. It opened my mouth to speak sometimes. Oh, and during that concussion, I'd open my mouth to speak sometimes, and it was like I had a stroke or something. So all of a sudden, I didn't have full control over my body, right? And that's a reminder. I came out of it, but that was the case. So almost soulless feeling at times. So I get it. The suicidal thoughts, I get it. And I want to prevent anybody else from being in that funk. So I know that's a lot to take in, but I go through that. Like I said, like the reason I do so many things, a lot of people give me a lot of credit for it, that I've always got something on the go. But honestly, if I don't, and that can be a bad thing, like if I don't, I start to get anxious and I start to get depressed. And if there's absolutely nothing on the go, then I'll go get, my daughter or something, and we'll start a project together. Or that's why I keep journals and stuff. So again, like maybe that stuff can help people. I don't know if, I suggest a journal, or, maybe make YouTube stuff. It doesn't have to be for likes, or it doesn't have to be for views, but, maybe create something. I don't know. I'm always here to help. And messages like that really, really touch me, that, I didn't read you what this Mr. X, let's say, texted me, but, like he said that just merely listening to our podcast sometimes and seeing me, there was an article in Sportsnet Ryan Dixon did, and it was very positive. Mm-hmm. And, he said, things like that, because you've been through so much, it gives me inspiration. But I want him to know, like, I still go through that shit. And the Ryan Dixon article, it was great, man. It was awesome. But as you read each paragraph, like in every section of that, I had to overcome something. Like, it was great that I overcame, the ankle injury and made the Canadian ball hockey team. But during that, man, I did it because I was so fucking depressed. And if I knew that if I rise to a level that I'll just keep blowing away my expectations, mm-hmm. and everybody else's, then that, for whatever reason, it might even be selfish, it might be egotistical, it might be whatever, but I found something that made me not depressed. And my depression comes from anxiety. If I'm not anxious, I won't really be depressed. I know we're always, everybody, and I'll end now, but because a lot of people, you're trying to find the root of the depression or whatever it might be. I don't really give a fuck. I know I got a concussion, and I'm telling you that when that happened, it made me feel vulnerable, that, it really put in perspective that someday we're going to die, and that's not a great feeling. So, but it really did. I remember opening my mouth to speak, and it was like I had a stroke, and that really fucking scared me. But, everybody could, we all die. So you could sit here and fucking trip over your bottom lip, or you could be pumped that you got the gift of life, right? And if you've got the gift of life, there's no reason taking that life. We all suffer the same fate. Even Paul McCartney's going to kick the bucket within the next 20 years, right? He's my probably favorite person I'd want to talk to on earth now living. So anybody out there that's going through that, if you're listening, I identify. If you want to reach out, you know where to find me. Anyway, that's it.
No, that was great, man. I totally get where you're coming from, especially what you said about. I find it's kind of like a shark. It's like, as long as you keep moving, you're fine, and as soon as you stop and take your foot off the gas in any way, that's the point. As soon as you kind of like don't have a deadline, you don't have something you have to be doing, that's the point where it can really kind of. And yes. For me anyway, when I've had issues with stuff, and sometimes, yeah, it's like when I don't have something that I have to be doing, that's the day where I can't bring myself to do anything,
Yeah, it's
something
more
working. And Chuck actually is here now.
Two semicircles for me. It's always TRU, some that are pretty good. I always look at it as two semicircles. There's one that's up, which I'm anxious as all hell.
Yeah.
And then there's one that's down, where that maybe, you're not taking very good care of yourself. If you're like me, you can't really do much.
Yeah.
You don't shower and stuff like that. So anyone that's out there, you got to try to find a balance to find that sweet spot.
Yeah, no,
I find the same thing as Terry. I find having projects, having stuff to do lined up and stuff like that greatly helps.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
and it's cool, and it's kind of cool to be able to have this conversation with you guys as part of this. And if it, like you said, like Terry said, if any of our listeners are have stuff like that, reach out. Like we're happy to answer messages and happy to
keep swimming.
keep swimming. But on that, Chuck's here. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, doing good, guys.
You missed us. We were chatting about Terry's trip to Letterkenny, as well, updates on his elbow and all the stuff that came out of that. And that's what literally what came out of it. And then that transitioned to some other healthcare talk. But now that you're here, maybe that was a good time to make a big announcement that we're pretty excited about. It's popped up on our social media feed over the last day or so. But coming up next week on September 14th, big things happening over here at 3MI Podcast. Terry, you want to maybe let everyone know what's up?
Yeah, so we're gonna do a pod live from the Rec Room here in St. John's, and that's a great thing. You know, it's funny. I did one of these with Biz last year. It was at the Rec Room in Toronto, so I didn't really think that opportunity would come here, but Rec Room opened up. 6 months ago?
Something like that. April, I think it was. Yeah.
And now we're doing one here. I feel like I've come full circle in a year, but it's during Leafs camp too. So a lot of people are like, "Why are you guys picking September 14th?" And when I told my buddies, I said, it's Leafs camp. We can't really guarantee what the guest is going to be yet. A lot of them can't talk to the media, to be honest with you, during that time because I've already tried to contact my buddy Dave Roper and a few more, and that's been the case. But they got an alumni team here. Darcy Tucker and Shane Corson, for example, my buddies, they'd do it for sure, they said, but they might have shit on the go. So we're just going to have to wait. Let's just say it's going to be a great show either way, but we're going to have a good guest. We just don't know who it is yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise, and even us, possibly.
Yeah.
Come out and see the hockey DB game in person.
It might be a case of opening up a door at the Rec Room and a guest comes out and all of us are shocked by who it is.
You know what I figure we might do? We might just, there's lots of local guys that but we might get one of them for like a half hour, but it'd be really nice. Like I don't want to book it yet because if we could get a Darcy Tucker or Shane Corson or an Ally Frady, I'm not even sure the rest of it. I know those guys are coming. That'd be nice.
No, it'd be great to have somebody like that, especially guys like that who we've you're tight with Darcy and Shane. We know Shane and Al from when they were in town before and stuff. So getting somebody fun like that would be great. This show is set to go from 7 to 10. So I mean that gives us time for either a couple guests or one Terry Ryan story. So we'll see.
Half. You're going to want that story summed up, are you?
Two-parter, yeah.
But for a lot of those guests don't realize. Darcy Tucker was my roommate. A lot of people forget he played in Montreal. I forget his stats. He had like 40 games played. He only had like 5 points because they didn't play him. But he was my roommate, and Shane was on the team that year. When was that? Would have been 95, 96, 96, 97, 96, 97. And that's when, we all hung out all the time, and Jeremy Charles, of course. A few other guys, but me, Course, and Tux really hung out a lot. And that's when Tux got together with Shane's sister, and they got married, and they're still happy now.
That's great.
Yeah, man. And they've got a few kids. Shannon is her name, and just a great person. And I knew right off the bat, like I said, Tux was my roommate. When they met, I was positive that that would be a relationship. They just took off, and I want to. Sometimes at the time, people were like, "Oh, how can you do that? It's Shane's sister." That's the fucking point. He's one of his best buddies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, who would you want to be your brother-in-law? And they really got along, and they're still happily married, and I'm excited. I like to hang out with those guys whenever they come. But for those reasons, that's why I'd like those guys as a guest, because we got a real personal story there. Shane's Restaurant is where Jeremy first worked.
Yeah.
Jeremy Charles, the chef, so it was a good buddy of mine. So there are, I'd rather one with a personal kind of pipeline than anything else, and so we're going to hopefully have them on.
Yeah, and so we're September 14th. at the Rec Room. It's being brought to you by Homestand Sports, who do the Puck Talk series. They do a bunch of these. They actually have James Myrtle and Jonah Siegel the next day. They're at Bannerman. And like that, what you have to do to get into our event is head over to homestandsports.com. There's an event there for the Third Man In Live. You can click on it. It's a free event to attend, but you do have to reserve your spot and RSVP ahead of time. So you can do that, and then once you actually have your ticket, you can call to the Rec Room and like reserve a table and all that good stuff. So that's how you find out, about 7 to 10 p.m. that day. And we're going to flood our social media with this over the next couple weeks. We're really looking forward to it, and we're really looking forward to kind of putting something together that's fun. Hopefully, have a couple guests that we're going to have some great conversations with, and we're all pretty pumped for it here.
Oh yeah, I'm fired up.
So thanks to Homestand Sports for asking this for this to happen. They were talking to Terry, and we've got all this rolling now, and really looking forward to it. And it's going to be a fun time because it's an exciting week here anyway, where the Leafs are going to be in town for their camp. So there's lots of cool stuff happening.
And the Rec Room's a cool venue.
It's a great venue.
Think they'd give us 6 hours and we get Senior there?
Yeah, let's ask Senior about the first part of his first year pro hockey, and that should give us about 4.
Yeah. That should, Just all you got to do is say half a name to Senior. That's 4 hours taken care of.
I had a
yesterday when I got back, so he came up.
That's what you should. That's how you should have killed all that time. You should have just brought Senior over to the emergency room with you and just asked him one story, and then that kills your 8 hours waiting in the ER.
2 days, two days ago when I got back, I had a present for Penny Lane, and she wanted to show him. So it was I had her. She loves The Descendants, which is really funny, actually. One of the guys in Letterkenny, Dylan Playfair.
Yeah.
His father, actually, Jim Playfair, played in the NHL and is now a coach. Well, he's in The Descendants. So, and Descendants is a Disney movie, right? So there's 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, I thought you meant the punk band.
No.
I was like, she's young to be getting into The Descendants, but all right.
Well, I wouldn't put it past her. But so I got her the outfit of a girl named Mal. That's part of the Descendants. So she wanted, so I gave it to her, and we went down to show Senior. And so we got in there, and again, Senior told me a story. So he said, I just went out back, and he was referring to the wood. He chops wood, right?
Yeah.
And uses it in his stove in the winter. So he started to tell me a story about, I'm not really sure what it was about, but it was something to do about fetching wood.
Yeah.
But then, really quickly, his buddy Bob Neely, that he talked about on this podcast that he played with in Hamilton, reached out after seeing the Spittin' Chicklets, and developed a relationship again, I guess.
Oh, that's great.
They've been talking.
Oh, that's
so
deadly.
he went quickly, and then he went into that, and he goes, just wait, Penny Lane. Now, Penny Lane was sitting there with her beaming, with a magic wand in her hand, and she had the Mal outfit, the Descendants, and she's just waiting, like she's holding, she's like just pacing, just can't wait. Well, hold on, Penny Lane, I just got to finish this story. Okay, so I don't really remember where the story went. I know that Jimmy Pieface McKenzie came up. Oh yeah, I'm positive of that. And then
off the rails.
Tub Neely, Denny Potvin, and anyway,
Denny Potvin always comes up.
Yeah, it seems to come up.
Take a drink anytime Denny comes up.
I know. And anyway, and I looked at my watch. I said, Dad, we've been going for 21 minutes. The girl just wants to show you her new outfit. For fuck's sakes. Oh, yes. He said, okay, yeah. I get it. And he said, in a couple of years, you'll appreciate that, Penny Lane. I said, no, you know what? She's going to be 11. She won't. If she ever appreciates that at all, it'll be like well into her fucking 20s. Like not at 11. But anyway, of course, he listened to he listened to her story. He went and bought her ice cream. I don't mean he's totally narcissistic, but when he gets telling a story, it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like he's telling a 9-year-old. I went to the bathroom, man. Like I came out and he was still there. Mom wasn't in the house. Danielle wasn't there. Nobody. It was me, Penny Lane, and Senior. And I go in, and he's still talking about Jimmy fucking Pieface McKenzie. And Penny Lane's looking at him just like, what is this guy talking about? And all she wanted to do was show him the suit that she had on.
And, like, she had it on. Like, that's the thing. Is like, it's one of those, like, nice shirt, and then just go. But instead, 21 minutes of telling a story while a child is sitting there in a princess costume.
Yeah, just waiting.
just like, What do you think, Pop? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Just waiting.
just the best. Oh, that's incredible.
So that's his recent escapades, but yeah.
I saw a joke on a program the other day where it's like Ken Burns starts making documentaries about people, and I was like, oh my god, Ken Burns presents Senior. How long would that be?
It'd be 9 innings like the baseball thing.
Yeah, it's
It'd be 9 hours.
I figure, an hour for every period Seniors played.
I think that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, I think that's how long anything would go. But on that, let's take a minute here. We're going to hear from our sponsors, Head Check Health, and then we're going to come back real quick, and we're going to chat with Chris Dingman, who's a 2-time Stanley Cup champ, a good friend of TR's, and we're going to chat to him for a little while, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So just hang on 1 minute, and then we'll be back with Chris Dingman. Here's a word from our sponsor.
Concussions are serious. Whether you're a concerned parent, a coach, a risk manager, an executive, even a player, they're a major concern. Head Check Health has developed software and services that improve the way concussions are assessed, tracked, and managed at all levels of sport. Their goal is to create a safer environment of play by giving better tools to people responsible for documenting and assessing concussions, as well as providing better data to administrators to make real health and safety improvements. HeadCheck currently works with Canadian Junior Hockey League, BC Hockey, Rugby Ontario, the Western Lacrosse Association, and more to advance concussion management and practices. If you're interested in learning more how HeadCheck can help your team or organization, please visit headcheckhealth.com or email info@headcheckhealth.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the show my friend and former Northern Alberta Select, Brandon Wheat King, St. John Flame, Calgary Flame, Hershey Bear, Colorado Avalanche, Carolina Hurricane, Tampa Bay Lightning, and vet of Swedish Elite League, the Danish Elite League, and ladies and gentlemen, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, Chris Dingman. Chris, how the fuck are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. It makes it sound like it was a bit of a suitcase when you're naming off all those teams.
It's the first time anyone's called you on that.
Yeah, that's true.
I know.
But this is the thing, the team that I want to ask you about first. And am I wrong here? Because I don't have the program. But were you on the Northern Alberta Selects in the Vancouver Super Series in 1992?
Yeah, I was there.
Because
I was.
So that's the first time. So my dad took a Newfoundland team out there. And you wouldn't know any of this, but to us it was a big deal. So we went out there and we played at the Vancouver Super Series. And it was a lot of us didn't even realize we could play on the mainland yet, right? So, or didn't have any of those aspirations. Well, we lost 6-5 to you guys. I believe you were number 11. You were a big motherfucker, and you had a green helmet on. And
yeah, I did. Yeah, I still have that one.
I fucking remember. I remember because in hindsight, there are a few players that played in the Western League, but I remember. I think even Ray Schultz. Or there's a few guys, but I don't have a program. I don't remember, but I remember you. I never played with hitting, and I played a year above myself. So I was playing with the 76ers. So boys, fucking, I'm out there, and the first game is in the Sun God Arena, and we do okay. I think we lost 6, or we actually tied Vancouver. So people started to come watch Newfoundland because we were this totally untapped, resource. No one scouted us or anything. So all of a sudden there's a bit of hype, but I'd never thrown hits before. I didn't mind it on the wall, and Dinger fucking hit me coming across the middle. And I'm telling you, that was 92. That was before you were in the Western League, and I bet you were 230 pounds then.
No, I was only like 210.
Yeah. Oh, 210.
It's a little easy, but I'm glad you remember that. I do remember the green helmet because I found it because I'm back in Edmonton now, so I've been going through old stuff.
Wow.
That my parents kept, so I found an old pair of skates, old pair of the helmet, and then actually my dad gave me all the old pictures. I think he's done looking at them, so I have them in my basement. So I was taking a look, and I saw that jersey. You know what I remember about that? The year before, I was a D-man, and I was a leading scorer, and it was the old where they put your name up on a list. Everybody go look, all the boys would go look, and I was like, oh, you made the team? I'm like, no. I went and looked, and the name wasn't on there, and I was like, you made the team? I was like, no. Like, yeah, come on, you made the team. I was like, no, I didn't. And the next year, that year, I played against you. They moved me up the floor, and in the first game, I had 7 goals and then made the team. But that's what I remember, getting cut that first year. And then the year I went to that, and then the year I went to that, went to that tournament, I played baseball for Confed. So me and Steve Reinprecht were on the same team. And you'll remember a guy's name,
Steve
maybe.
Reinprecht were on the same baseball team?
Yeah, for Confed.
Oh, interesting. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So we went to the World Series, or the Junior League World Series, the year after Little League, and so I batted pretty good. I think it was like 750. I had a bunch of homers. I was kind of a chubby kid, so I was like 200-something pounds, so I could hit a ball. And so then our catcher the year before, like he was allowed to miss days for volleyball camp or some shit like that. And then the next year, I got cut from the baseball team after my dad just bought me a brand new glove, and then the coach, like, oh, he oiled up and tightened up the laces and all that stuff. So after the coach did that for me, he cuts me because I'm going to miss like 3-4 days of practice for the Super Series. I tell you, I've never been so pissed in my life. So I still have the helmet. I still have the ball glove, and I tell my boys that story. Anybody, like, that was a big reason why I made it, because I was so friggin' mad. Like, I was like, I'm going to shove it so far up this guy's ass. Yeah. And I was so pissed, and it was one of the best things. Like, everybody gets cut, but, it was a great series. But I remember that even, like, I think we got to the quarters or semis or something like that. And then I just remember our coach, like, our line was doing pretty good, and I think I was somewhere near the top of the scoring. And our coach said, like, we were playing Little Caesars. Remember when they were playing year round and they were killing it? And he was like, he basically goes, listen, like, we can't win this game. You guys just try and win the scoring title, or just, like, we can't compete with these guys. After, like, the first period, we're down, like, 5-1 or something like that. So it was just a couple things I remember from that. So good experience, though.
Wow. So the year I came out then, because I ended up going in the Bantam draft after that year. So you must have already gone. Like, did you go in the Bantam draft?
Yeah, I went drafted 11th overall, and then by Seattle, and then I went to the Memorial Cup, and then came home, and 2 days later I got a call from Kelly McCrimmon that he acquired my rights.
Really? Yeah. So people out there that don't realize that in the Western League, at least at the time, and I think it's still like that, you get drafted when you're 14, right? Like the draft happened for me halfway through my 14-year-old season. So it's early on, and then they'd often, like, I was in Tri-Cities at periodically playing in Quesnel. I'd just go down and practice or meet the boys. So I guess when you went to the Memorial Cup, that was when it was held in Seattle and Kamloops won it, or am I wrong?
No, well, I don't know if that was Spokane, I think, that year, wasn't it? They were the powerhouse. I just remember going, and I was all excited. I got a pair of gloves. It was like a big deal, and I got like 6 of those. Remember those white Cooper wooden sticks? I got like 6 of those, and I thought I was like the man, and then got my dreams crushed. So it ended up working all good, but had to get to, like, my dad and my mom had to pull out the old atlas and figure out where Brandon, Manitoba was, how many people were there. And I looked, and I go from, I'm a drummer, like, I know you sing, and, like, you're a musician. I play drums and shit. And I remember looking at it, like, I was so pumped to go to Seattle because I'm into, like, grunge and heavy metal, like country, all kinds of music, whatever.
Especially at that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Like, I was all jazzed, and then, get my dreams crushed. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, how many people? And they look, it's like 42,000 people. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like, what am I doing? My dad's like,
I think it's got to be the furthest Eastern team. I mean, for us in Tri, I remember, like, you getting on the bus, guys, and you'd go like 24 hours straight, man.
Wow.
Like, and you think I'm fucking around? I'm not. Like, we'd stop in to eat outside of those. Like, that's how long it was. Basically going from the fucking West Coast to almost Central Canada.
It's a lot of card games.
So then, how did that all go when you first got there, Dinger? Were you? Well, I guess if you went 11th overall, you were a prospect coming in. Like the billets, like who was coaching? Like, was it an easy transition as a 16-year-old? You guys had a good squad too at some point, but I don't know if you were at that point.
Yeah. No, we weren't very good. And then the year I got there, we set a record actually for the biggest point turnaround from one season to the next. It's been like surpassed since then, but I can just remember, so there's myself, Colin Kluche, and Mike Dubinsky, and like Kluche was like the 3rd overall pick, and then Dubinsky was like
I remember
the 6th or 7th or something. Yeah. So we were lying, and you had to pay your dues. And I remember showing up. I had my like 3 or 4 earrings, like 1 up top and 3 down below, and I had kind of a mullet and thought I was cool. And Bobby Lowe's was the coach. I showed up for camp, and he looked at me and goes, "You don't think you're keeping those fucking things here?" And I was like,
Wow.
Kind of thought about it. He's like, "Now you're going to stay here." And I was like, "Okay." You sure? And he's like, "Get those out of your fucking ear right now." I was like, "Okay."
So you're telling
me
it's
pretty simple.
You never started a metal band in Brandon, did you? That's what you're hinting here.
No. Well, no, I played some music, but it was like you quickly realize, like, because I played midget AAA as a 15-year-old. There was myself and Damon Lankow. We were the 2 underagers, and like you paid your dues, and we were rookies, and but you kind of think you're like, you're kind of the shit, man. You're a top player, and you go there, and that you get put in your place pretty quickly. Not that I was cocky or anything, but it was like, yep, no, it's take those out of yours right now, and you're going to carry the stick bag and pick up the pucks, and this is the way it works, and you're going to play on the fourth line, and you're going to earn your ice time. And it was great, but it was Bobby Lowe's was we could do 2 hours on him. He was awesome. He was one of the best motivators, and he told you just exactly. He was a big fan of "See you next Tuesday," that phrase, and had no problem telling you so.
So Bobby Lowe's then was, because I've only heard rumors. So he was good with
Awesome.
the players. Well, yeah, I mean, he must have been stern, but he respected guys and all that.
Yeah, it was like, well, even my rookie season, like you learn how to play the game. Like now, everybody can toe drag and turn it over. And I remember practice as a rookie, I tried to make a pass at the blue line. It was a pretty good sauce. I think Waiter had. No, it was an older guy. Kind of tipped it down, and it was freaking hilarious. Like he comes over, he blows the whistle, and he gets like literally like half a foot from my face, and he blows the whistle like, and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's because of "See you next Tuesday." He's like, you got high blood pressure. Get the fucking deep. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
I'll tell you what, I never turned the puck over again after that. But that was like kind of, like you think you're a good player and you can score, but you had to pay your dues. That was Bobby Lowe's to a nutshell. He wasn't going to let you. He was awesome though too. Like he started a few brawls that were in, but any brawl we're in, he was right at the forefront of it. He was awesome. Like I had, you know what? Like he was a perfect guy. You put you in your place where you thought you were too good, or not even if you thought you were too good. Just here's the way it is. Like fuck you. You think you're that good? You're not that good, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
You're
Everybody
just
comes in.
yeah.
If you're a big pick, everybody comes in with a certain level of ego. I mean, and you need that. Bob Laux was the same with me. Bob Laux, former pro wrestler guys they used to call him Little Brutus, and he was very, very stern, but he'd also really work with you. Like he'd make, he might shit on me for not having my homework done, but then he'd help me with it. So.
Kind of a way to rein you in.
And I think back then in the West, man, guys were orangutans. You needed to have coaches like that. I often say, like, we couldn't warm up with the other team because there was too many fucking brawls before the game. I still, when I say that over here, no one's ever seen that. I thought that when I first came back to Newfoundland, I thought that was a CHL rule, but it was only the Western League, and they didn't count 10 misconducts. Can you remember that?
Well, so like we were actually tough. So when you go to the Memorial Cup and you're playing against like a Quebec team, there's George Roth who's tough, but then you got some 5'7" guy who's got 500 pims, and you're like looking before the game, you're not sure is he tough, is he not? And then you realize the 10-minute thing, but you don't realize the separate warm-ups until I was 17 years old and we're playing preseason against Moose Jaw. I'll never forget. So my buddy drives 10.5 hours his little Hyundai hatchback to come watch me play. And we didn't get through warm-up because we had separate warm-ups, and we're skating around before the anthem. And I'm at the hash marks, and there's no one within like 5 or 10 feet of me. I'm like, where the fuck is everybody? I turn around, everyone's at center ice. So Colin Kluche, long story short, one of their tough guys I think his name is Van Steinberg or something. He came from the West or something, and then so he skated across the red line. So Kluche clotheslined him. So that started everything. So I drop my gloves, I go across, and I must have beat the living shit out of like 5 guys, like right in front of my buddy and right in front of my billets. And my buddy, it was so funny. Like, and I heard we were telling the stories. That's exactly what, it was like gong show. Like people don't understand. This is before the anthem, and so I'll never forget. So there's that, and it's like great, and so I pumped a couple guys, like, and I didn't even play a shift. And then my buddy goes, like after the game, he goes, that was awesome, man. That was awesome. He goes, I would like to see you play a shift. That was awesome. And then Kelly McCrimmon was telling the story after. He's like, because Kelly was very upfront, like, is that right, eh? Yeah, is that right, huh? And then, like, so this lady went in the office, so he's telling the story, like, so I'm in the office, and this lady comes in, she's like, I want a refund. He's like, why? She's like, because it's like the WCW out there, there's a big brawl going on. And he goes, hey, you're not getting a refund. B, what the fuck am I doing sitting here talking to you? And so he came out to watch the brawl. So it was weird. We're as old school as it came. Like, it was literally like, we were like the Chiefs. Like, if there was a brawl, like, the bus driver's in it, the owner, trimmer, it was great. Like, we got a brawl, like, so after that, we got a brawl in Moose Jaw. We scored with, like, 2 seconds ago. They let the time run down before the timekeeper, the goal judge put the light on. So at the end of the game, like, everyone's arguing and stuff. Sorry, I gotta friggin' decline this call. So like it's the end of the game, like we clearly score, and like Losey's losing his mind, so he goes across the ice, and I'm like 16 or 17, I don't know which one, and one of the two, and I got him in a headlock, so he's on foot and I'm on skates. So he goes over, he's yelling at the timekeeper because, that was a goal, whatever. I got him in a headlock. He wiggles his head around, looks up at me, he goes, "Dear, if you don't let go of me right now, I'm going to fucking sucker you." I was like, "Okay, see you. Yeah, all right, see you later. I'm not getting pitched for this." Goes up to the timekeeper. He's got glasses on. He goes, smokes him right in the face. I'm like, "Okay, here we go." So I was like, so we start going and the fans get into it, and it's like the fans are up on the glass, and the other team, they're kind of getting into it, but they're like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's like stop shot, like, let's just stay out of this. So then, like, Krimmer's on the ice, like, Plummer, old owner, and the bus driver, like, it was like, we had to get a police escort out. Like, it could go all day long. Same thing happened in Regina in the playoffs. Like,
yeah,
where do you want me to stop?
Fuck, we used to hear about that because, boys, if you were in the Western, there was 2 divisions then, I believe, just the West and the East. Now there's 3 with Red Deer and all that in the middle. But, we only played them twice a year.
Yeah.
So you'd hear these stories. Now, we, in our own right, had some tough players, and we had some runs with Spokane and everything. But I think that the thought, though, for whatever reason, maybe it was just the aura or the aesthetics of where we played. But, like, Tri-City's kind of in the desert. Seattle plays, it's a warm rink with, like, fucking 20,000 people. The Portland, same thing, where the Trailblazers play. Even you go up to Kamloops, it was just a little bit more comfy in the west side of it.
Yeah.
So
your rinks are too nice.
Yeah, the rinks were nice.
Your rinks are too nice. They were way too nice.
You're fighting anybody.
But when you're
your bus out.
Yeah, we'd go over to play East, and it was a totally different feel. And I remember me going, like, if you're, like, tough on this side, like, you're real tough. Like, and every game, I'm not saying that our side wasn't, but just even the living room. Well, picture it. I mean, I got nothing against Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Imagine if you played in Seattle and got traded to Moose Jaw. Or you were working. Let's say you were fucking Plummer. In any situation, it would be a complete fucking culture change or shock to go over on that side of it.
Yeah.
So, we went over there, and we'd heard all these stories. I'm sure they heard some about us, but... we heard about all this fucking shit.
Well, we had guys, like, they got traded, obviously, from the other division, but we looked at it as we paid our dues because, like, our closest trip was 3.5 hours. Like, that was our closest bus trip, to Regina in our division. So we had, like, 6, 8, 10 hours in our division. You go bus and then play the game, maybe get a couple scraps, wherever we get, go back on the bus, get a, stop at Boston Pizza or some little place, get some food, go off the bus, go to school, whatever. Yeah, and you guys had your, like I remember doing the West Coast trip, like one year we had 2 mice on our bus. Like, it was like Bobby Brown. We got the nickname the Greasy Squirrel because I swear he wore the same tank top for the whole West Coast trip. And, like, he had one of the bottom bunks, like when you're not a rookie anymore and you're a vet, you get a bunk. And then if you're, like, kind of good, you get like a second or third bunk. So, but man, that thing was filthy. Your bus, like, burned oil. It had 2 mice on it. Like, it was just, so Kelly McCrimmon got he actually got his bus license. So he actually drove the bus.
Really?
So the rule. Because the rules with the bus. Well, because it's 21 hours or 27 hours out there. So I can remember one year, so we played in Portland, and, they had a tough squad. Like, you guys had tough squads too, but it's like,
I remember more comfortable.
Yeah.
You guys had, there was more of a toughness to survive the winter in where you guys were than it was for us, And I mean that in every nice way. But the other thing is, like, I was down there going over to Seattle to watch fucking Pearl Jam, an event, like, it was definitely more comfortable. Once we got out there, it was time to play, but I just knew everybody on your team was not only physically tough, but mentally tough.
Yeah, we weren't comfortable. Like, there was so we played in Portland, so we had you played, like, 7 games, I think it wasn't, like, 13 days or whatever it was. Like, you grind it out, so we had a good trip going. We were, like, I think we were, like, 4-2 or something. We were going into Portland, we had a good trip going, and, we played in Seattle. Remember that small barn? We got in a brawl, and I beat the crap out of a couple guys, and people were throwing fish on the ice, and I was skating off, giving them the finger. Didn't get suspended, like nothing. Like,
they were throwing fish on the ice.
Oh, yeah, we got in our line brawl. So.
Yeah, no, that happened to us there, too. I don't know what the significance is, but anyway, keep going.
Yeah, so the only reason why is because I got a scrap, and I did pretty good, and I was on top of the guy, and the fish landed right above my face. But anyway, so we're, like, playing Portland. It's the last game, so we scored the first goal. I think I actually scored it, and then so we're feeling pretty good. But, you come out, and that place is rocking, 17,000 people. It's like, so, like, score the first goal. Well, they pumped 10 straight. So, like, after 4 goals, I'm just trying to kick out. So I get, like, 2-3 fights, get kicked out. We lose 10-1. And so, we're like, I was like, so then the whole trip just went right down the crapper. Like, basically, because we're doing good. So then, like, the rule was if Losey's, if you lost, there's no movies on the bus.
Oh.
So it's not a big deal if you're going to PA or Regina or something. You read a book or play cards. But so, like, we literally 27 hours straight, no movie. So what we did is we went to bed. We figured, next day we maybe watch a movie. Nothing. We stopped in 27 hours. We stopped in Medicine Hat. Remember, like, you had the veal cutlets with the gravy and the little squiggly fries, the McCain squiggly fries.
Yeah,
27 hours straight.
Oh, no way.
That was when Pearl Jam, No, I'm not. We stopped. We ate that. And that was when Pearl Jam Versus was and I had my Discman. I listened to that album probably, 100 times on that trip because it was like I'm laying in my bunk just trying to sleep because you can't do anything. You can't watch a movie. It's friggin' miserable.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
those would – that's tough, though. Fuck, the whole way back with no – because, I mean, I don't want to make people out there think that we were all boozers, but on some of those trips, man, I didn't even chew, but I had to. Like, it's just you chew tobacco. I mean, like, and you'd at least have a couple. Even guys who didn't drink would have 2 or 3 because, like, it's just so fucking long to go all the way back. And that'd make everybody social. You might play some cards, play some schnarples, whatever it might be. But, like, it was a much better feeling. Like, I'd rather lose 5 games of a 6-game trip and win the 6th game and then go back. Because it was just
that's the long one. Yeah, that's the long one. That's uncomfortable.
So, you guys now, before I move on to Nick, and we will because you got some unbelievable pro stories. I'm going to stay in junior here for a second, though. When you came in, Dinger, like, what did you expect? You were going to be an enforcer or a player? And I say that because just a couple of years after all this, I believe you had 40 goals. And when, like I said, when the green helmet, my story was that you fucking ran over me, but you were one of their best players. So, and you went 11th overall. I didn't realize that. And in the NHL, 19th overall. So, how did you see yourself?
Well, I had potential at one point, didn't we all?
Speaking for myself, no.
I was the scorekeeper.
Yeah, watch out.
We all had potential. We all had potential to do something, but I know. Like, it was funny. Like, Kelly was my dad. So my dad had a little experience. He did some work for the Oilers, so he got me with their trainer and took some boxing lessons and stuff just in case. But it was like, we want him to play. Like, we don't want him to be a fighter because my dad, those are questions you want to know. And I was a physical guy and I like to hit. And, but soon you realize, like, Kelly never made me fight, or you just had to, So I saw myself as like a physical player that could score and hit and fight. And, you're scared shitless at first, and then you win a couple, like, guys test you and they're like, okay. And then by your second, third year, like, everyone leaves you alone. You're just beating the shit out of people if they touch any of your teammates, and it's just fun. Like, to be honest with you, like, my third, fourth year when I was playing Marty, I scored 40. Is anybody touch them, I just grab them. Like, I just found them, basically.
Explain that. So your line mate, I assumed, again, we didn't see you much, but it was a great league, and you look at the scoring, and those before the internet boys, like, every game they'd just have a like a pamphlet in each stall, like, with the scoring updates and everything of the league. I forget what press junket, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, press guide.
Yeah. So press guide. So I knew that, and whenever there's a guy 6'3" and by this point 230, that's out there scoring goals, you'll take notice. Now Brandon went from, like he said, like, so it was when I first was out there getting drafted, they were like in last place and everything, but quickly, to the point that the next question I'm going to ask after this, they ended up winning the Western League title, which was the next year. But for this particular year, Dinger, you scored 40. Who were you playing with? Marty Murray, there's one, and that makes sense that you picked him because he was a smaller guy. Not a wuss, but he was smaller and he got picked on. Who was your other winger?
Darren Ritchie.
Darren Ritchie, the right-handed shot, 20-year-old. Was that it? Fuck, I forgot about him.
62, I think, or 63, and, like, he must have hit me 200 times in the back of the calf. So he just laugh about it, like, in practice or whatever. So when he got hired as a GM, I was laughing because his highlight video, I went through it, and then I was watching. I was like, I think that's me. So I went through it. It was like a minute video, and, like, 7 of the goals, I'm on there, and I'm open on, like, 5 of them for sure. So I circled them. So I screenshot a circle, and I was like, Rich, man, you could have put on my tape a couple times. He's like, well, I had to go with the odds, or, whatever. Like, he was such a good guy, but it was like, I'm happy to be on that line. And, good lines are good for a reason. There are a couple smaller guys that were good players. They needed a bigger guy. And, it's like you played, you're a physical guy. You want to open up room for your buddies. And, we had a brawl in kind of backtrack a little bit. We had a brawl in Regina, and there's video of it now. And I got suspended one game, and I think I knocked the linesman out. And we went into the stands, and it was like because Marty and Darren were there, and we're 17-year-olds. We had our goalie, backup goalie was Craig Hordell, and Byron Penstock was our starter.
Yeah, he started.
Or it was him or Trevor? Yeah, it was him or Trevor Robbins, I think. But anyway, so like there's a line brawl, and you couldn't. So we jump over the boards, me and Kluche, and like Bobby Lowe's like, "You're not going anywhere." And then it was one of their European guys, like Randy Petruck or something. He hops on the ice, and then it was like, back then it was like first guy on. He got suspended, and they're like, everyone else is okay. So then Bobby's like, Lowe's like, see you later. So I went and grabbed Darren's guy, or I think it was Marty's guy's first time. Like, you're going to get it. And so I grabbed the guy, and Marty goes, no, I got this. So I just held the guy, and then Marty just starts teeing off on him. He's like, yeah, you're not so tough now, huh? Yeah, you're not so tough now. So he dummies him, and then I go to Richie's guy. So I grab Richie's guy, and Richie, like, he's a funny guy. He's like, how you like that? He's just like teeing off on him. I'm just holding the guy. I'm laughing my ass off. I went like totally berserk, and then so I dummied a few other guys, and we're going off like people are throwing batteries on us, like beers. And it was funny because I read
rowdy
batteries.
Yeah, batteries.
That was the thing. More than one ring.
Wow,
so,
Jesus.
Ridiculous. So things are calming down, and as I'm going off the ice, this guy spits on me. He's up on the glass. So I go up and I tee him up. I hit him off. I hit him. He bounces his chin off the glass. And he's out cold, and then someone else threw something. So Bobby Lowe's goes in the stands. So me and Kluche, we're all in the stands, like literally, like and got one game for it. And like the next game was like no one touching one. But the funniest thing was like the next game at skate or whatever. Like so we had this assistant coach, Big Johnny. He was this little tiny like kind of let's say more rotund guy, and he was funny as shit. But so the next day I break like 2 sticks, and I'm like, what the hell, man? What's going on with my sticks? And Big Johnny goes, what do you think I was hitting the fans with? So he's like, I'm like, what? I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, everyone's trying to climb over the glass. So he's like whacking people over the head with this. So it was like just a different time. But we got one game for that. Me and Lowe's, we got one game. It was like, oh my God. He would be suspended for life now for that.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
So then, no, that's unbelievable. And by the way, I remember Darren Ritchie being a snipe show. Like he was the type of guy to get more goals than assists, boys. Like, but he used to fucking gun it. I think he came to the CHL All-Star. Anyway, I don't know what happened to him. I'm gonna look it up after the show. But I thought maybe that guy would score a lot in pro.
He's
somewhere.
the GM of the Wheat Kings now, right? He's been with Brandon since like.
How about his pro? Yeah, no, I knew that, but
he did one season.
Yeah, I played pro a little bit.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, from the like looking at his stat line here, he did a bit of a year with between the ECHL and the AHL between South Carolina Stingrays and the St. John's Flames.
Yeah.
Kicked around a couple more years, went to Europe for a while, and since 2006 he came on as an assistant coach with the Brandon Wheat Kings. Was in that role till 16. Then he spent 3 years as the director of scouting, and now he's general manager.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
He was.
So when I actually drove through, my boy, my younger, I have 2 boys playing, 12 and 10. So my younger guy, he was playing with Team Alberta or whatever. And so we did that North American Classic in Winnipeg. So we wheeled through and stopped. And so I sell gloves now with my brother-in-law. His gloves called Stout gloves or whatever. But anyway, so we stop in Brandon, and like Rich is there. So I stop in. I always say hi. Like it's all like Rick Dillebo's still there, and Kelly's wife and daughter and son. They're all like, so everyone's still there from when I played, which is great.
Yeah.
So like Rich takes us in a tour. My younger son, he kind of gets it, but he kind of doesn't, and it's like, they're like talking about the stories, and like Rick Dillebo he's talking about the brawl, and the best thing about the brawl is that so Rich is like, yeah, your dad kind of saved my ass kind of thing, and then Rick Dillebo is the funniest thing. He goes, I couldn't figure it out. He goes, where are these guys? Because he goes, literally the brawl's going on, and guys were going up, and he's like, it's the end of the game. And they hadn't closed the concessions. He's like, guys were going up and buying pops and beers just so they could throw them at you guys. And he's like, it was a funny. He's like, I never heard that story. Like, you hear all the stories, like, over the years, we've had beers and, at the hockey school and stuff and just different things. And I've never heard that one. He's like, literally, they didn't close the concessions down. So guys were going up and buying sodas and stuff, or pops, or wherever you go. Sorry, I've lived in the States for a while. Buying pops just so they could throw them at you. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, well, so anyways.
No, that's fucking.
That's incredible.
That'll be a battery.
I know. I'd heard versions of that story, guys. Like I said, like we would hear that. There was no fucking YouTube or anything, obviously. So, but the odd time, because we did a lot of video back then. I don't know how many teams are doing it, but Bob Laux would do the. We had our assistant coach Pat Lawyer or Wayne. I can't remember his last name, but in any case, we always had people working on the video. So Lauxie, who used to coach in Lethbridge, would get a lot of the. Coaches would do each other favors if they're going to do one, make an extra copy and send it over. So we heard all about this. And the tape, I remember the infamous fucking tape. Finally, we went to put it in, it wouldn't play, so I never did see anything about it. But I did not hear the fucking people were buying beers though. It just made the imagery of the whole thing get a whole lot better for me.
No, the idea, like, and just like, how is like an ownership just like lighting up their eyes at the thoughts of like, if this team fights enough and we keep the concessions open, people will buy shit from the concessions just to throw at the like. That's brilliant.
Howard Ballard shit there.
Yeah, that's peak Johnstown Chiefs.
Okay,
alcohol. That's alcohol, but that's alcohol abuse. They're buying beers and throwing us. Not only that, but like I was getting like D batteries thrown at me. Like, where do you find a D battery? Like
that was
double A's, maybe.
Well, I mean, you're not allowed to throw them in the garbage, so you just stick a couple in your pockets for the fire at the teenagers that are playing hockey.
That's the shit I mean that happened in the fucking East.
Yeah.
That's why we had to go over there and like before the game, you had to really get yourself psyched up. You're like, you know what? Fuck. We got 60 minutes left. Each minute that clicked off the clock, you're like, okay, 59 left. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Terry, you guys all West. You guys had like well, because you fought everybody. So, like, you had, like, your two heavyweights, and then, like, like one or two guys that scared the shit out of everybody, and then a couple other guys who would fight. Like, Spoke had a, like, totally ridiculous team. Actually, you guys would try, like, Cabana,
we had a tough
you guys had a
team,
tough squad,
and everybody would fight. I found Dinger, I'd often say, after we went pro, I quickly realized what the other leagues were like. Like, the O was pretty tough. The Q was, for the most part, not tough at all, but they had one or two guys on each team that were absolute, tough.
Yeah.
Like Peter Worrell or George the Rock, or before us, Sandy McCarthy. Give them a tap, they go off, they beat the shit out of someone, they go back in. But the West wasn't quite like that. Like, even Wade Belak was a first-round pick. He was a fucking defenseman.
Yeah.
Right now, a Dinger, right? Huge. Goes into the show, but again, 40 goals, 19th overall, right? So even a guy that you won one of your cups with, Brad Lukowicz, I don't remember Brad being like overly tough in the West, but he got in fucking 12 or 13 a year, right? Everybody, it was a team.
Everybody fought.
Jesus, did anyone have 12 or 13 fights in the NHL last year at all? Like any one guy?
Out there, it was guys like we had guys that didn't fight. Like I would consider them fighters, like Mark Hurley. He'd end up with 5 or 6.
Jesus.
Like it was. But we had Rob Butts, we had myself, we had Jeremy Thompson, really underrated. Jeremy was Rocky's brother, and would fight anybody. Just wasn't very big, but he was a southpaw as well. We did Chad Cabana, Lankow at 150 minutes. Like Lanks had he didn't take a lot of shit. I mean, I was there for him, but Lanks dropped.
How about Lanks? Like Lanks, that guy. Like, how about his jaw? How about the jaw structure on him? And like, just he looked like a bodybuilder. Like at 15, I'm like. I'm lifting weights, and I'm thinking if I buy a Bowflex, I'll have a body like that. And I look at him, and he just shows up, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, we used to joke around at the Perry Pern, the Perry Pern camp to get everyone ready.
I went to it.
Yeah, so we're laughing, like, because like Lanks would show up for like a day or two, or 5 days. It's 2 weeks, 5 days. 5 days a week. And he'd show up like 2 or 3 days a week, and he's like got a 7-pack and like chest and. Oh, ripped, and he's like, and the guys would laugh. Yeah, like, I got to skate a couple times at least. Anyways, like, just ridiculous.
Dinger, it was unbelievable. I've often said it. I don't allude to it much on this show because I guess I'm really getting specific with the listenership of people who have seen him naked. So I don't really. There's not a lot of commonalities, but it's fucking amazing, guys. Like Lanks would move his body and like. Fucking 100 muscles on the side of his fucking. He was just like, when I say cut, like he's cut better than fucking Aquaman for no. I mean it, like for lack of a better. Like his ass had 4 muscles on each side. It was like looking at one of those. It was like looking at like a fucking model before fucking that you're in med school or whatever. Like one of those fucking dummies or whatever. Like it's fucking crazy that you want to point out every muscle on the body. And Lanks, as I say this, did fucking nothing. Nothing. We were never ever. If he would go in, like you'd see him. We had to go lift weights. We'd go in there, and Lanks would be like chewing and listening to music, and he might go down and do
a couple sets of bench. Yeah, like okay, I did 2 sets of bench. Yeah, like God.
Yeah.
God went. Yeah, if you believe in God, God went like this. Here you go. I look at a cheeseburger, I put on 5 pounds. Lance would just like look at a cheeseburger and his body fat would go down. Get another.
And he didn't
another
have
ab.
to do anything. And, you know, if I said the word like we're going to do lunges, he didn't even know what that meant. And I don't, you know, I always wondered, and someday we'll have him on the show, but I always wondered when he went pro, I said at some point that's got to fucking bite him in the ass. But, you know, I really don't know if it ever did, if he just stayed. And he was one of those guys that would blow like 65 on the VO2 without having to do anything.
Wow.
It wasn't just appearance. But again, sometimes, you know, you wonder, that's why he's Damon Lankow.
Yeah.
A lot of people his size weren't like that, and they didn't make the NHL. So I guess to reach that level, and, you know, what was he, 5'10", 170, you know, you have something special. But now I'm going to go on to your 95, 96 year. Just quickly allude to this. You guys won the Memorial Cup. Not the Memorial Cup. Yeah, I knew that you didn't. You won the fucking Western League. And that was in the middle. Who did you guys beat in the final? Because the year before you lost to Kamloops, didn't you?
Yeah, so they were the host team, so we went, and then we lost in the semis to Detroit, the Junior Red Wings. Joe shot them like 42-21.
And they got
lost
beat
in the
fucking
semis.
9-1 in the final by Kamloops. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, got pounded. Yeah, so, like, we were pretty competitive with Kamloops. Our goaltending wasn't there. Like, you know, they had, who was their goalie? I can't remember his name right now.
Well, Randy Petruk, maybe?
Petruk, yeah, Trucker. Yeah, Trucker was their goalie, yeah. So, and we ended up going to, like, Brian Elder, like a 16, 17-year-old rookie, because I think Penstock was our goalie. And then the next year, so that was like, we had Penstock, and he was struggling, so we went to Brian Elder, and so next year, we beat Spoke we beat Babcock and Spoke in 6 games, and then so that was the one time we were allowed to have beers on the bus. So we won, and we had beers on the bus, and we shut her down the next day. I was like, "Hey, Crimp, go get some beers." He's like, "Well, there's going to be a bunch of fans for us at the Keystone Center, you know, whatever." I said, "Well, I'll pay for them." He's like, "Oh, sure." So we stopped in Regina and got a few more beers, but yeah, so I actually had some money. So it was actually, you know, oh my God, it's the best feeling ever, and you feel like a hero because you're buying, like, you're taking care of the boys. You're buying like $6 pitchers and $7 pitchers.
Fucking wild.
Back in, oh yeah, that's great. Well, you don't take care of the guys because everyone knows, like, unless your parents are like super well off, which mine weren't, and, you know, like you know what it's like to make nothing, and you go buy a couple CDs and McDonald's and your check's gone. Your per diem's gone.
Like I said, it was between $60 and $100 a week is what people were getting, depending on age. Didn't matter how good you were. That all went by age. 16-year-olds get $60 and so on. 20-year-olds, if you're a 20-year-old, you got $300 at the time. But
so we beat Spoke, and then in 6 games, then we went to the Cup, and that's when they had LaRock, and oh my God, this is the best. Like, so George, I was in Peterborough, so we're doing okay, and then we're playing Granby, and they had George LaRock, and Bobby Lowe's like, he's killing us because no one could get the puck from him. We had, you know, Boone Sean, we had Wade Red and Justin Kurtz, like we had some pretty good D, and like, but nobody could get the puck from him. So Lowe's is like, he's killing us, man. You got to do something. So Jody Leamer, our goalie, he's got a great company, Trig Energy in Battleford, and he's helped me out a lot since I've been back. And he goes, "Dinger, I got this." So like, I saw the video like 6 months ago, and it was hilarious. He's like, "I'm going to start something." There's a point shot, and George isn't anywhere near the net, and he stops like literally like 4 feet from the crease. He doesn't even touch Lemur. Lemur's like, "You got a problem?" He gets up and shoves him. So like he started, so I go flying in there and try and fight him. And long story short, he couldn't fight because he had a bad thumb or something, which I didn't know about. But it ripped his helmet in half. Remember those old Cooper, like they went from like the Messier ones to the thinner ones, so I ripped it in half. And he had to wear some 4-fliners helmet, and it was like literally sitting on the top of his head. And it looked like a little beanie, like, because he's got a pretty big squash and he's a big man. And, but I'll tell you, that was all fun and games. So we lost in the semifinals. We're up 3-0. We get 8 straight penalties, and then so we lose. So we lose 4-3.
I don't want to interject. Well, I just did.
Well,
but this is what I want to ask. Often when the West would go, because we played by a bit different of a rule book, they let a lot more go. So I used to find in those times the problem for the Western League, even now to a degree, is that when you go to these national championships, we'd get called for things that we might not get called for. Was it that case, or did you deserve the fucking 8 penalties in a row?
No, we did. We were playing Peterborough, and they were the host team, so it was kind of like. And I heard after the fact, Kelly went up in the press box and grabbed the head of officiating by the throat and was like,
I love this.
Laid into him. So, Trevor was awesome, buddy. So, like, yeah, we were a little disappointed, or whatever, but such is life when you're playing junior. Not everything's fair, but it was all fun and games until. So I'm drafted by Calgary and LaRock's drafted by Edmonton. Then we got to play the rookie games. Well, fighting him's like trying to hang on to. It's like trying to hang on to a bull that's punching you. So between him and like Trent Sandwith, and you remember obviously Dennis Bonvie. He was a tough man. So
God, yeah, totally.
You're playing like
crazy. Right? I've often said like
stupid.
All they were because. It's fine. You might
fight
have
after
some
fight,
scores,
yeah.
but like every single person that dropped the mitts at all is going to do it in those games, right? And not only that, there's no major suspensions, so you could get in fucking 5 fights. I used to be like, and I didn't mind dropping the mitts, but I remember being wary in these games, going like, okay, because there's some guys in these games that will never play, they won't ever play, they don't give a fuck, and they'll hit you from behind, and they're not going to get suspended. It was honestly. I don't remember too many times being, I don't know use the word scared, but like very wary very wary about where am I here? What am I doing? And that's why I told you guys earlier last week, I think it was, that I would fight guys like Sean Thornton and I'd plan it because I'd be like, I knew that he was tough, but I knew that he wasn't a fucking cocksucker that would sucker me. And maybe now, again, I'm not saying you made friends like that all the time. And in those kind of games, I'm like, I'm not going to get out of here without fighting. Yeah. And I'm going to put on a good show when I do. And a guy like Thornton's perfect because he's tough. I'll get respect. And he's not going to fucking gouge my eyes out.
Yeah.
But he was the best too because he was like, hey, you got to fight. Like the GMs are down or the pro scouts are down. Like even a guy like Ryan Vanderbush was kind of the same. Like Bushy was a little crazy, but like I remember. I beat the shit out of him, and then I beat him up again. I had a goalie cut jersey, so they called me on the goalie cut. So I was in St. John, so I had to change.
Boys, I was explaining earlier. Anyway, the goalie cuts have bigger sleeves, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you could someone couldn't put the death grip on you, so you could get out of your jersey or get your arm loose. So then I beat the crap out of him, like literally beat the shit out of him, and then we're going to the penalty box. He's like, we're going again. I was like, okay, fine, like whatever. So we get out again. I beat him up again, and it's like we're going again. I'm like, I'm not fighting you again. Like, and then so I got to wear a different jersey. I was wearing like number 4 or something, like with no name on the back. And then, the next game we play him, he wants to fight again. And then finally he's like, I'm like, Bushy, I'm not fighting anymore, man. Like my hand's sore. And he's like, come on. He's like, just one more. The GM's in town. Just fight me once. And I said, I'll fight you once. That's it. But win or lose, I'm not fighting you again. He's like, okay. I'm like, it's the only way I'm fighting you, man. He's like, okay, fine. So I was like, all right. And then, it was a decent dope or whatever. That's like to what you're saying. Like guys like him and Doherty, like, you go have a beer with the guy after. Like every time you go you go on the Rock, you play 2 games, and then you had to stay over. So you went on and drank as much as you could, and all you had to do was get on a flight, and that's the way it was. Just good boys that are doing the job.
I was quite comfortable with it. Now I got something to ask you. So you go to St. John, you play your year. I mean, fuck. 200 minutes at that. I know what that's like, 96, 97. So that year I was in Montreal most of the time. I just practiced. I went back to Red Deer. The next year I came into Freddie. I played in St. John a lot, but you were there the year before. Now, 97, 98, you're in Calgary. I mean, I don't know what they expect. You played 70 games. So you have 3 goals, 3 assists, about 150 minutes. So, I mean, you did that. And, I mean, you're a young guy. Like, 1 goal and 1 assist would suffice. You're there to learn. So how did you end up in St. John again the next year?
Well, it's funny because, my first year, my wife came, my now wife came to live with me, halfway through the year, because we had a bunch of guys, like Wilmer, and there's a bunch of Western leaguers, and I'm like, you got to come live with me, otherwise this is just going to be a gong show. Like, it was just, you can only drink so much and whatever and fight. So anyway, so that year, I get sent down. I leave Calgary asked me if I can come into camp in under 230. So I go, okay, I could show up at 226, 8% body fat. First cut, they send me down. This is so Doug Riseborough had been fired. He was the guy that fired me. And it's like when your GM and the coach, the jockey, they're not there. There's no one fighting for you. So I get sent down and I lead the team in preseason scoring the American Hockey League, which isn't a big deal, whatever. But so then the whole season, I barely play. So I barely play at all. And then, at the end of the year, Paul Baxter, had him as a coach. He was just a total dick. And he said to my wife, it was the best thing for him. I needed to be hard on him. I'm like, be hard on me. You can just yell and scream at me. I don't care. Every coach would do that. But at least play me. There was a game where, Sheldon Surrey obviously had a cannon for a shot. You played against him. And he was dumping one in, hit me in the ankle, and just about killed me. And then Baxter's the assistant coach, hey, Baxter wants to know, can you play? So I iced my foot and I put, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can play. It hurts. So they dressed me. Oh, I don't play a shift. Sat there the whole game.
Really?
The whole friggin' game. Oh my God, I was gonna snap. So anyways, so I go through all that, and then so I make Calgary. So Rod Sutter gets the job. He calls me and he's like, what's it gonna take for you to make this team? And I'm like, well, you show up at camp and you're playing with some plug from the East Coast and some junior kid. You kind of know where you are. I said, okay. So I showed up and I was playing at Fleury and Castles and played preseason with either Fleury Castles or Ginla or like one of those guys. And then so I had 4 goals, 4 assists, and 6 fights in preseason. And it started with Fleury and Castles, and I had 2 goals in 6 games. I think I scored the second game of the year and the 6th game, and I'm like, okay, I might score 40. Like, I was feeling pretty good. And then guys like Sandy McCarthy was bitching about ice time. So anyways, long story short, we go like 2-10. We started the season. Our goalies are Rick Tabaracci, great guy, but not an elite goal. Not one of the. He's not Patrick Waugh. Let's just say that Dwayne Rolson before he was really the goalie at Edmonton. So we go like 2-10. I get bumped to the 4th line, and then all you're trying to do is fight. And then next year at camp, so same thing. They traded German Titov for Ken Reagan and David Roach, and then Ken Reagan got hurt in camp. It was like they got to justify the trade. And I was making one-way money because I had a clause in my contract that if I played 60 games,
nice,
I'd be on a one-way. So they sent me down. So that's how I ended up back in Calgary. And then one of their guys comes down. I'm like, you guys are complaining about money, and I'm making 4 1/4 down here in St. John. Like, what are you doing? And then so I was the guy that. So that's how I ended up back down there. I guess
wow.
for whatever reason, yeah. So I was in the Fleury deal. I was the other guy.
Yeah, I only asked because it was, even at the time, it was glaring to me. Like, I'm like, to see someone that young get up and then go down, because it was almost like, it's not like you were fucking 35 years old at that time. You were only learning. So it's an odd decision to give a kid a chance to regress, I guess. But anyway, outside of that, and it's your start in the NHL. By this point, you got almost 100 games in. You get traded to Colorado. So in Colorado, something magical happens. Now, you talk about any bit of your time there if you want. I guess the trade, just getting there, first of all. When you went there, what were you thinking? Were you thinking, I'm going to be in the show right away? Like, how did they grip you? Did they tell you that you were going to play right away, or did they want you in the minors? Did they want you to bring you along? Were they just taking a chance, or were they pretty solid that you were going to be their guy?
To be honest, it was just, here's where you're going to Hershey. Man, it was like, I was thinking, great. I remember one of the player personnel guys for Calgary, he came down and I was like, see again, like, what are you doing? Like, I wanted to be moved because you kind of see the writings on the wall, and you're not their guy anymore because the GM, the draft, he's not there. So I was pumped, man. I went to Hershey. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's a great place to raise a family. The whole town smelled like chocolate. But I'm like, there's my wife and I were staying at the Days Inn, eating those little one-timer muffins. I'm like, we're not raising a family. We want to go for a beer. And you had to go to, like, the only bar in town was Shakey's. And you had to go to Harrisburg, the home of Poison, to find a halfway decent bar. But yeah, so there was no, like, here's what we want. It's just, you went to Hershey, and I had Jay Wells and Mike Foligno there. 2 of the best coaches I've had. They were awesome.
They were great.
I was there.
Games. They were great. And I know a little bit about Hershey. Me and Brian Muir stayed in that Days Inn the next season. The year that you won the fucking cup. I played 8 games in Hershey anyway, and I ended up. Did you by chance? Side note, did you by chance go to see U2 in Denver that year?
Yeah.
You remember?
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, I was playing in the West Coast League in Colorado Springs. I was waiting to get in Montreal. Ended up trading my rights to Dallas, but I was kind of waiting for that to happen. And so Hershey wanted me, they needed a tough guy. Not saying that but I fit that role. I figured they said, come on up, we'll treat you well. We just need someone else to fight with Steve Parsons, basically. They were forthright. Didn't mind it. I went up for a couple months, had a great time. But they said, whenever there's a concert that goes through Denver, I ended up going to Paul Simon, and I went to U2, and I remember a bunch of Avalanche there, and I thought I saw you, but it was just chaos, and I couldn't really speak that loud. But anyway, that's a side note, you must have loved. But to tell us about the being into music, but tell us about the year then. That was the year that I was at Mersey. That's the year you guys won the cup. Like, did you see that coming, or... who does see it coming? But I mean, something magical must have happened at some point during the year.
Well, we had a really good team, and then we traded. We traded for Rob Blake, and then so we traded for Ray Bork, which was like, we're going for it. And
okay,
you know, you got this guy who's like, you know, maybe it's his last year. And so what happens, we played Dallas and we lost in 7 games in Dallas. We had like 2 posts. I'll never forget. It was like, you know, we're sure for him coming back, and then he decides to come back, and it was the best, like, experience, the best. You know, it wasn't like in Calgary where we're just trying to make the playoffs. It was like our goal is to finish first overall. So if we have a game 7 and it's in our building, anything less is unacceptable.
Wow.
Again, it was like great. So it was like, just from the start of the year, it was like, we're winning a cup. Like, that's it. Like,
Wow.
and just so the whole year was just like some of the best guys, like some of the best players in the world. They were just some of the best guys that treated me like gold and other guys. And we just had a great group of guys. And like, I'll never forget, like Patty Waugh, like he gets a bad rap from some people. And so like magical, there's turning points or whatever. We were struggling, and we had Alex Tangay, who's like a great player, but he's like 18, 19, right? And, you know, we're struggling a little bit. So Bob Hartley, their lovely French Canadian coach who like to call people plumbers, like, this, you're a plumber. What the plumbers do? I'm like, get it. Yeah, it's like, get it deep. No business handling the puck. I'm like, you know, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm a 19th overall pick and you're a junior beagle. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know, but he's like, you know, this is Bob. So he's like he's trying to show Peter Forsberg on the power play how to take a one-timer, and we're all laughing and like puking in our mouths. But anyway, so they moved Tangs down to the 4th line. This is great. I'll never forget this one. This is like one of the best. Is that so they moved Tangs down to the 4th line. Pierre Lacroix comes down, and like he's buddies with Celine Dion's, like, you know, manager Renee and stuff. That was the first event we went to. Was Celine Dion. It was like, you know, and she's like, oh, the big cheese upstairs there for the Avalanche, you know. Anyways, Coco Lacroix. So he comes down. He talks to Tang. He's like, you know, we're all like, Greg DeVries is a funny guy. He's like, what you need to talk to him? He's playing like shit. You know, he's playing like shit. Like, what do you need to talk to him? So there's all this. So I move up to the 3rd line, which is great. You know, I don't wish anything. Tang's a good guy, but I'll get a chance to play. Before the game, Bob goes, I don't care who it is. You turn it over. The other team's blue line. You're going to sit. Well, first 2 periods, it's like extra large of anchovies, like just Pizza Central, right? And no one's getting sad. And we're down 2-0. And like, yeah, it's just like Peter and Joe and whatever. They're great players, you know what I mean? But they're just, you know, and it's like, I'll never forget. So like, you know, we're in the locker room, and like Patty Waugh never would say anything. Like Adam Foote was like the sheriff. Like he was the guy that chirped guys and, you know, talked and whatever. And like so Patty Waugh stands up and he goes, you fucking guys, this is a fucking joke. He goes, that guy down there, he's got no balls. He's not going to see you, Joe. He's not going to see you, Pete. He's got no balls. You guys got 1 period to show me you want to win, or otherwise I'm fucking out here. I'm asking for a trade. He's got no balls. And like, everyone's like, holy crap, like, because Patty never say much. And then the best part was like, so we had Bob Hartley as our coach, and Sean Cloutier, the old goalie, was our assistant coach, and then Brian Trottier was our other coach, and like Bob heard everywhere. So it was like, he comes in, like, start the 3rd, and like, you know, in the second, you know, before we go, and it's like, Pete, Joe, Milan, you guys are starting. And like the 3rd period was like an all-star team playing against an American League team. It was ridiculous. It was like guys were flying, and it was like, it was kind of stuff like that, like little things, you know, along the year that, you know, guys do and say whatever. But everyone's just so committed to winning. And then even, so a little thing like Ray Bork going in, is like, we were playing St. Louis, we're going in like double or triple overtime. And, you know, I'm playing with Dave Reed, who was an awesome player, and Steve Reinbrecht or Dan Ida, one of those guys, and we score a goal, and we played 7 minutes going into like triple overtime, and guys are dying. And like Ray Bork got up in the intermission and went in, slammed the door, and came back out and said everyone's going to play, be ready. Like he told the coach to play him less, like told him to roll the lines. That's how bad he wanted to win. So this, you know, was there one thing, or did you know? It was just like, just people don't know stuff like that. Like a guy like him was like, you know, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he wanted to win that bad. He was like, play me less. Like, we got a good team, play everybody. It was awesome. So it was one of those things.
I just completely phrased that question like a fucking 4-year-old remedial fucking preschool student. But that's exactly the kind of answer I wanted. I love hearing the stories about the fucking leaders in the dressing room, and that's great to know because, like I said earlier, you know, sometimes you hear that guys that you really looked up to or you look up to might be pricks, but you know, I love to hear about stories about leaders and winning. And I've met both. I met Patrick Waugh at camp, and I do the odd fucking alumni thing now with Bork. He comes to Newfoundland quite often, to be honest. But, you know, you don't really get to see until you're in that situation that you're in. I mean, all the chips are on the line. At that point, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter fucking your status. What matters is that you win, and those kind of guys can motivate you to do it. Much like you must have. You were the captain of Brandon when you guys won it, weren't you?
Yeah.
So,
There's something I'm kind of curious
Yeah.
about with this, and I don't mean to jump ahead because I know TR has got.
No, go ahead.
But that year that Bork came on, and he came on the year before. He stayed on. You guys won the cup, but that trade was for Dave Anderchuk when Ray Bork came over, and of course Anderchuk went almost as long as Bork. He went 20. And you got to be on that cup winning team with him as well. Was there anything from that cup run with Bork that you brought to that room again in Tampa Bay when you guys were trying to do the same thing for Dave Anderchuk?
Well, kind of. It's just I loved the playoffs, because I knew I was going to play. As the years went along, it was like they were always trying to replace you with some younger version, or the next thing or whatever. And I knew in the playoffs that I was going to play, and I knew what it took. So as a third or fourth line guy, I'd play against Ginla, and I didn't even try and score. I just did my job and didn't turn the puck over. So just things like that where, if everyone does their job, that's how you win. You just play good defense and you just find a way. Yeah, well, you just, you play good defense and everyone just does their job. And that's what winning is. And I take pride in the fact that I never got, I got scored on once that whole playoff run in Tampa and then Colorado. I never got scored on, because if we got scored on, our night was over. In the regular season, if we got scored in 5 minutes of the first period, our night was done on the fourth line. Hardly we wouldn't play again. So that should kind of answer your question around about way. Just Daryl Sador was a guy who had won in Dallas, and he was in Tampa too. And it was just guys are so nervous, man. Even just loosening them up, but even before Game 7, I remember going in and I put on a jock strap and I kind of did some jumping jacks and a couple lunges, because guys were crapping their pants. Some of the guys, Ruslan Fedotenko was so nervous. I'm looking around the room and the guys were honestly just so nervous. So I'm I got to do something to loosen up, and this can look like an asshole if we lose, but if we win, it'll go pretty good. But even that, jiggle my ass a little bit just to loosen guys up, just stuff like that, because you're so nervous. It's just another game. It's another game, but some guys are so nervous. So just those things having. I loved it. I loved the pressure of it. I loved the finality of it. I loved being around, some of the best players. And
I want to point something out here. That's a lot of people, when you look at who gets drafted where and you look at stats and everything. And I mean, I heard both sides on you and Junior. I mean, I was always confident you'd be a good player, but the detractors would go, "Oh, he's big, he can't skate," or he only gets those because he tips them in front, or he plays with good line mates. Or again, who gives a fuck? You get him in.
No. Hey, let me interrupt you. I could skate. I just couldn't turn to the right.
Well, in any case,
I still can.
In any case, well, you just explained, though, and you just explained, playing defense and buying into a team, and all those things you just explained are the very reason the scouts drafted you. And because a lot of young players listen to this, a lot of the kids that I coach on some level, that are going away to the Q or the O or whatever, that's what I often say to them. I'm you look at these stats, not just you, but often lots of people. I don't know. I can think of Dave Scatchard. I don't know, someone that played for a while, Colin Forbes. I don't know. That we played with, and you're trying to think of, not all of them turn out like Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith in junior was similar to, a lot of other guys.
Yeah, he scored,
Yeah, he could score. Some guys, that could, but, in the NHL, he kept doing that. But when you got to take a certain role, you do it. And when you look at the stats and you see, okay, 4 goals, or like you said, Dave Reed there. Dave Reed would get 10 points a year. But the thing is, he's trying to shut the other teams down. A lot of people just think the whole game's based on, every time you're out there, you're trying to score. Yes, defense, if they turn it over, now I'll play D. But guys like Dinger were thinking D when they had the puck. I'm not gonna rim it all the way around so it comes out on the other side and Jerome skates onto it. Or I'm not gonna fucking make this between the legs move. I'm fucking Dion Phaneuf because it's going the other way. Right? And that's part of it, man. And when you buy into that, that's the fucking reason. Not to pump your tires here. You don't need an agent anymore. But that.
Oh, I do. Yeah, we always do. Yeah, pump them up.
Right. That's it.
Love
That's
it.
why you win. Some guys get drafted to be a third line player, right? And I can go down the list. It often happens. But for those kids that think that it's about the points and it's about, no, I mean, if you're in a situation that you're getting points, go fucking get them. Put yourself in that exact I'm sure you were pumped to play with Marty Murray. I was pumped to play with Lankow. I wanted all kinds of extra ice time. But it's sometimes you fall into another, and with the cup winning teams, although I haven't been in a cup dressing room or anything like that, but always seem to have so much depth.
Yeah.
And guys that You know, even Dinger, fucking like a guy Brad Lukowicz I brought up. I think he's got 2 cups as well. I think he got one with Dallas.
Yeah.
Right, and it's
Well,
those.
you look at it, Well, every year there's a guy. Like your team that wins, there's a guy you've never heard of, or you kind of heard of him, but like all of a sudden he Gensel or Devontae Smith-Pelly scores 10 goals or whatever. Like like every year there's a guy. So it's like if you want to tell the kids, like even like so like you tell kids what do you tell kids you coach and stuff like that. Like I coach too, and you tell kids like you know what coaches want. And they're like, what? They want a yes man. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, can you play right wing? Yeah. Can you play center? Yeah. Can you play D? Sure. Can you play backup goalie? Sure. You know what I mean? Like that's what coaches want. And then also it's like it's like a safety blanket. Like you look at a guy like Keenan, who as crazy as he was, but everywhere he went, he brought like Craig McTavish and Anderson and Noonan and guys like that because he knew exactly what he was going to get. Like people forget, like Rangers won the cup in '94. Craig McTavish with no helmet took the face off. Like Mark Messier was out there, but he didn't take the face off.
Mm-hmm.
Like people forget that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
but those are the guys. Like you're perfect third, fourth line guys, and it's not very glamorous. Like you don't get all the whatever, but when you end a career and you got a couple cups or 3-4 cups, and you're just the perfect shutdown guy. Like
Totally.
those guys are invaluable, man.
The king of those guys being Mike Keane, fucking 3 cups with 3 different teams.
Yeah.
And guys in junior, he'll even tell you himself. Not that I played against him, he's a little bit, but he was just a two-way player. Could have been a lot of guys, but he totally got it. He got it, and he played whatever role was. Yeah, and tough motherfucker. And anyway. It works out, right? No one would have. I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. Right now, you can probably guess the guys with the most goals are going to have the most success, but it's not always the way it happens.
But I mean, it's very rarely that, like, it's why people talk about like the Crosby golden goal. Very rarely is that the scenario where it's that guy being the hero, because
but everybody thinks it is.
Yeah, I know, but it's so rarely the guy you kind of expect, right? It's when you do the overtime challenge, you never pick the top guy on the team that you like is the 45 goal scorer or whatever. You pick the guy who's been quiet up to now, and you're like, he's the guy that's going to grind in. He's going to find a way to score.
Well,
it's always that guy.
It's
you
funny
know?
Chris mentioned Ruslan Fedotenko being super nervous going into Game 7 because he's the guy that scored the game-winning goal for that Tampa Bay Cup.
That's a good point.
Yeah, did he score 2 that game?
Yeah.
He must have loved your dance, man. You must have really loosened him up.
He loved getting passes for being a Cavalier probably a little bit more. But
You know what I remember about your time in Tampa? A lot of people, to put it in perspective, so I remember looking at this at the time. Now I'm looking at Hockey DB. So, Dinger, you had 140 minutes that year, right? No, not that year. Sorry, 93, 94. And the next year, I don't know what you had, but point being, there's a lot of guys, like back then, almost every team had like 4 or 5 guys that had like fucking 150, 250 penalty minutes. But Tampa started to go in the other direction real early. So, I mean, you were, I don't want to say main enforcer. I don't want to use that word. But, with 140 minutes and the next closest guy got 85, and that being Pavel Kubina, who's not really going to kick the shit out of you. Like,
Kick the shit out of my hopes and dreams. In the league.
Yeah, like, was that were you aware of that as the year went on? Because for me, like, I was always more comfortable to play, like in Freddie, say we had Jerry Fleming, fucking Asham, Dave Hassett, myself, Craig Rivet. Like, you're their main guy there, and they kind of they broke the mold at the time, and you guys end up winning. Like, did you feel pressure to fight, or was it just like, I'm out here, I've already won a cup, I'm going to do whatever it takes?
Yeah, no, there's no pressure. Like, your role, and Torts was good. Like, there's some games. Like, I remember we played New Jersey, and Skurlak got called up, and Torrell before the game's like, "You're not fighting him." I'm like, well, "What if he wants to go?" Yeah, well, he's big. We had that saying, it was like, "Would you rather have $1,000 or score these helmet full of nickels?" Like
I love that one.
Because his head was so big, and he was like, I actually ran into him like about a couple months ago, and it was like, he's like, "Come on, let's go," and I'm like, "I can't fight." And I remember him saying, "Come on, just fight me," and I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't." But so to answer your question, and I said to him after, like, sorry. So I said to him after, I'm like, "Sorry, man, sorry I didn't fight." He's like, "No, I get it, whatever." But I'm like, "Sorry, I wouldn't have played. I would have got benched." But so I never felt pressure to play until me and the Cavalier decided to fight. It would be a good idea. He got mad and he wanted to fight Chara, and that didn't work out very good. So he fought Chara in Tampa, and he did okay, but not, Chara. So, and Chara was actually good about it because he had him down. He never hit him. And then, so next thing we're going into Ottawa, and, somebody's got to fight him. And it's me and Andre Waugh, and all of a sudden Andre's tough. I'm not bad mouthing, but he had the flu, so he's not playing. So I'm like, yeah, I know I got to fight him, right? But how am I going to fight him and not get the shit kicked out of me? So I had it perfectly. There was an icing, and I go down. I'm right close. So I'm like, come on, we got to go. He's like, what? And I'm like, we got to go. Let's go. And he's like, and the linesman come in. They're like, no, you're not fighting. So they separate us, and then Char goes, okay, let's go. And he drops his gloves and straightens his arm out. So I'm like, I'm so screwed. So I take about 4 or 5 off the side of the head, and then we end up wrestling down. Thank God I didn't get knocked out, but that was the only time I really felt pressure to fight. I knew I had to fight.
Yeah, pressure
you got to fight.
You're not.
No, yeah, whatever. Yeah, but you know when you have to. Very rarely does a coach need to tell you when you have to fight. You pretty much know what you have to do, or if you're good at your job. So, but that was the time.
Someone thought they had to tell me when. Michel Therrien was the only guy. But I'm like,
oh my God, yeah.
I get it. It's also tough to take from a guy that never dropped his gloves ever. So you know the guys who know, and especially I really think coming from the Western League at the time, we were all used to that. Some people had to get kind of a year or two of pro in, but to us, yeah, I shouldn't put everybody in the same mold, but I never really felt the pressure either out there. It was just fuck, I'm pissed off. Don't cross-check me or you'll get a punch in the face, right? That's kind of the way that we grew up playing. So, for a lot of us, yeah, pressure was the wrong word, but I guess just knowledge that it was time to go. Your time in Europe. So after that, and after, I guess, 05, 06, so you play a bit with Tampa, you play a bit in Springfield. Doesn't seem to me, I didn't ever get the feel, I knew some guys that played with you, that you really, really tried, hard to stay over here. I mean, you went to Europe after playing in the NHL the year before. It's not like you looked for a 2-year deal in the AHL and figured, hopefully I'll get up again. Some of that, I assume, must have come with confidence of winning the 2 cups and a feeling of, like you said, finality. But you decided to go over there. And take us through that decision, I guess.
Well, I didn't have a job, to be honest with you. So it wasn't like any of that. It was like Donnie me and his agent. He's like, yeah, I think I got the Rangers, or I think I got, and then nothing. And here it's September, October, and you don't have a job.
I'm just really surprised you didn't after all that. But I guess you're getting older at this point, and it's not like you.
Well, no, yeah, small. Yeah. Well, you know what it was. It was so you had the lockout, and then after the lockout, I started the season real good, and then we were losing. They just kind of decided they were going to go younger, and so they brought in Nick Tarnasky and Darren Reed and guys like that. They were trying them out. They were going to be the new. So when I wasn't playing, then I remember running into Al McNeil, and he's like, "Oh, Dinger, how's it going?" I said, "Good." He's like, "You having trouble with the new rules?" I was like, "Well, no." So then the perception was, I couldn't play in the new NHL. Then, so all of a sudden, I get sent down Albany, so I get sent down to Springy, whatever. And I'll never forget. And this is after, we lose a year because everyone's losing money, and I'm playing in Albany. I line up against Alexander McGillney. And Dan McGillis is playing on D. And Alex McGillney, 72 goals or whatever as a rookie. He's making 7.5. And all the owners are like, everyone's losing money, but he's making 7.5 in Albany. And I line up against him I go, how much fun are you having right now? And he's like, what? And I'm like, how much fun are you having right now? He's like, oh, it's bled. I'm like, there's 10 minutes. So they had him, Dan McGillis making 2.5, and then the other Ferentz brother, the taller one. I can't remember if it was Brad or Andrew. Brad. He's making $850. So, yeah, that was so I actually worked my way. I got called back up for the playoffs. And then Torch sent me out to fight Neil. Told me to go fight him, and I do. And then he sits me, and then that was kind of it. And so no job. So actually, Stan Netchcash, spelled Necker, he played in Sodertalia, and he knew the guy, whatever. And he's like, yeah, they're looking for a guy. You want to go play? And it wasn't for a ton of dough. It was it wasn't however many euros, but it was a great experience. I went over there, and the fan club paid half my salary. So I went over there, and they're like, no pressure, but we paid half your salary. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow,
but the best thing.
Weird flex.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was so anyway, the best thing about being there is I got no one fight. And they brought me over because Roman Bopat was there, and he was playing for another team, and he was kind of acting like a dummy.
I remember
that. Whatever. So he was like abusing our team, so they needed some toughness and leadership, whatever. So like I go over there and I'm like, listen, if you fuck around, we're gonna go like. And so it was great. But like every time, so they had a fan club, and every time I was on the ice, the fan club would go, "Come on, Dingman, come on, Ding." And it was like the best ever. Like I got in one fight, and it was like this kid cross-checked me, turned around, he punched me in the face. So I'm like, all right, we're going. And I grabbed him, I hit him with like 2, and he didn't drop his gloves, which I guess they didn't really know how to fight in Sweden. But so it was like the best, and the GM loved it. But then it was like we're going into playoffs, and the relegation where the top. So the team I was in, they were in the top league for like 50 years. They just got relegated. And so he's telling me in warm-up, he's like, yeah, go talk to that guy. Tell him you're going to kill him. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, go tell him. So I'm like, I'm going to this like little skilled Swedish guy. And I'm like, keep your head up. I'm going to kill you. And he's like, what? I didn't do anything to you. I'm like, keep your head up. Like in warm-up. And I'm like, what am I doing? So I played in Sweden. It was a great experience, but I played there and then Denmark. And then I could have played in Italy. A guy, John Tucker, was helping me out. So I could have played in Italy, but it was like, you're just playing to play. And, I had young kids, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, living in an apartment. We have no drying machine. Like, we have no dryer or washing machines in the basement. It takes 2.5 hours to do laundry. We have small kids, like, what are we doing? So, yeah, so it was a good experience. So, like, Europe is great. The Swedish guys are awesome. Like, it's like most European guys are pretty good guys. There's the odd guy, but, like, Swedish people are the nicest people. Like, oh, sorry, my English isn't so good. I'm like, I'm in your country. Like, don't apologize for your English. Like, all I knew was unhank talk. How'd I get a unhank talk? I think was like a bucket of beer. Unhank talk. Taksimike. It was like, thank you very much. So, yeah, that was a good experience, but that was that was kind of the end of the line after that.
Now, there's one thing I wanted to ask you about. You just briefly touched on it, but the situation with Neil and Tortorella. Can you take us through that for people who might not know about how it went down? I guess. Yeah,
well, so we're in the playoffs, and so Neil's running around like an idiot. And I have all respect in the world. He's a tough guy. Like Neil is tough, but he's running around and kind of bumped into Burke. He was trying to fight him. So Tort's on the bench. He's like, "Dinger, next shift, go grab somebody." So I line up against him. I'm like, "Hey, Neil, you're being an idiot. Let's go." He's like, "What?" And I said, "Listen, we got to go. Like, you're being an idiot." He's like, "Oh, I'm not fighting you," or whatever. Something like that. And I'm like, "Listen, we're going." Like, when the puck drops, I'm dropping my gloves. So, of course, like, he gave me a fake glove drop. So
yeah, he danced my gloves. I can remember that. I can remember him dancing the gloves. Okay.
Yeah. So then, like, he turtles. I went too far and kept going. But then after the game, Torts was like, "Digger, where you went to?" Because that was when, the NCAA, so I got 2-5 and a 10. And we're losing like 5-1 or 5-2. And Torts like, "What are you doing? We could have come back." I'm like, "We're not coming back." So after that, he never played me the rest of the playoffs. Sabbed me the next 2 games, and it just kind of made me look like, I never forget, like, Don Cherry, like, Ronnie McLean's a great guy. Met him years ago. I never forget Don Cherry was on Hockey Night Canada. He's like, "Chris Dingman, Tortorella sent him out there." I never, because my buddies were like, because he made me look like an asshole, basically. Like, I was always a team guy, and, like, Torts for whatever, but you don't tell me in front of the whole bench to go grab somebody, and then I do. And then you're going to, like, sit me and make me look like an asshole or selfish because I do what you tell me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you call a man's question, you call your manhood, and then you go do it, and you're like, "Why'd you do it like that?" I don't know. How'd you want me to do it?
I can remember that Coach's Corner segment like it was yesterday almost, and that's the reason I was like, I didn't want to. I wanted you to run it through because I didn't want to make sure I was imagining Neil doing the glove dance type of thing. But okay, he did shimmy the gloves, and then he wouldn't go, and then ultimately you got
the perception
dinged.
that Tortorella left him with, because not putting him out there again makes it seem like he was getting punished, and meanwhile he was fucking suggesting. So I don't like that move at all, and I don't really know John Tortorella. I like some of his methods, but fuck me, that's a
I do too. I do too, but like, just stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Can't like everything about a
Off
coach.
a duck's back, especially with 2 fucking rings.
Yeah.
And then the Danish league. Did you want to talk at all about that?
Yeah, it was okay. It was like not as good as Sweden. Let's just put it that way. And everybody smoked.
I always wondered about that league. It must be fun to play. I always said free travel is the best education, especially if you're getting paid to do it. But I mean, I guess at the very end of your career, if you're going to play there, it's probably a nice way to go out with your last season to have a little bit easier of a time.
It was good. The best part about that is we had a Finnish coach, and like he was like, he's like, the Danish guys are, because you need good Danish players, but they're kind of whiners or whatever. we had a Danish player. They'd fly him to Copenhagen every day so he could go to top school. And I'm like, the team paid for it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? But anyways, the Finnish coach asked me, he's like, he goes, Dinger, you take face-off, Dinger. I said, yeah, sure. I hadn't taken a face-off in like 15 years. So he put me out for a D-zone face-off. And I actually win it. So after that, I took every D-zone face-off for this year. I was dying. I was playing like 23, 24 minutes a game. I was like sometimes 25, which for me, like I came back, I was like 222 or something. I was like skinning, for me, it was like skin and bones. I was dying. It was such a thing as too much ice time. So that was my best experience there. I became a face-off specialist.
That's a great fucking way to actually to end a great career. But the one other question I got is that your kids are pretty good at hockey, right? So is that the reason that you moved from Tampa back to Edmonton, to put them in that situation?
Well, it wasn't for hockey. It was just, there's an opportunity. My brother-in-law's got a company called Stout Gloves, so we sell like, safety gloves, impact, cut resistant, like oil and gas, all
those
different areas.
Hockey gloves. Actually, I've seen you post that. Okay, you posted those things. I thought maybe it was because you were going out to work in the field. You're a rep for those gloves then. I guess part.
Yeah, so we're a family company. So he was doing well in this company and needed help. So let me say it a couple more times. Stout Gloves. So if you guys out there need gloves, but there's my shameless promo. You like that?
No, dude, Stout Gloves.
Well, anyways,
go somewhere. There's a lot of people over here need them.
Yeah. So it was just the opportunity to do that, and then my mom got sick, and actually, so it was like that, and just to be back around family, and hockey's getting real expensive, and then Trump getting elected is getting a little crazy. Like any racist thought anyone had, or just anything. Like it was like things were just like my kids were doing active shooter drills in school, in elementary school, or hurricane drills, and we're like, what are we doing here? Like, we're in a nice area, we're in a golf course community. Not like I didn't live in a multi-million-dollar house because it's Florida, and you can get a 4-bedroom and a pool for $400 if you want, or $200 depending on how far from the water. But so there's a couple different things like that, and then just decided we want to be back closer around family and stuff, and so. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Hockey was part of it, but it wasn't due to hockey. But it's been great for hockey as well to be able to, drive to Calgary or, like for tournaments and not have to like fly everywhere like we used to.
Yeah, and I mean, if one of your kids, if not both, or I heard you just say Team Alberta, I mean that's a pretty high level that there probably is not the greatest competition in Florida, so it's a little bonus of you coming back, I guess. And Dinger, do you do any alumni stuff? Are you still involved? Do you scout? Is there any attachment to hockey other than your kids?
No, I'm just working right now. Just doing like alumni stuff. We did a fair amount in Tampa. But yeah, I've just been, to be honest, I coached PUAA last year. I'm going to coach PUAA again this year, and then my kids are super busy in the spring. So between hockey and work, we're pretty busy at the company, so that's pretty much it. Just coaching kids and tell them to try to teach them how to work hard and play the game the right way. And my kids are, I look at it this way, like, so everything I wasn't good at, like turning, pivoting, skating backwards, that's what I work on with my kids. So they're already better than me at that, and they can toe drag, and I was never allowed.
Do you have them in as many sports as you played? I assume if you played baseball, you played a bunch. Am I wrong? I bet you played fucking 5 or 6.
Yeah, I played football, rugby, volleyball. So yeah, they do a little bit. They play baseball for a little bit, and then but like they're friggin' Florida when they're playing baseball, it's 95 degrees. I'm doing coach pitch, and I'm trying to throw them down the middle, and kids aren't swinging, and I'm dying, sweating because I look like an asshole because I can't throw a strike, but I'm throwing. You know what I mean? Like you're throwing. I'm sure you've done coach pitch. Oh my God, you want to talk about pressure? I'd rather play Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals than coach pitch. When you got a kid who's like you're throwing beach balls. You're throwing beach balls down the middle, and little Jimmy's not swinging. You're like, come on, buddy, it's right down the middle. And the parents are looking at you. I'm wearing like my whole arm's a wristband because I'm sweating so bad, and I'm like look like an asshole, like I can't pitch. But so, yeah, they play a little bit of sports, but yeah, they're loving hockey and just busy with that, so it's been good.
That's fantastic. So listen, next time I'm in Edmonton quite a bit actually, and once in a while with Turan Samwith. I don't know if you ever played with Turan or anything, but
good guy, great guy.
Great fella. I just saw him a couple days ago, actually, in Toronto. But real good friend. And I am out there quite a bit. He gets me out to do some events or whatever. And at the very least, I'll be out there in the spring. I'd love you to come out for a beer and have a chat in person. Because kind of missed that in our playing careers, but I'd love to come out and meet you and maybe even your kids if they got hockey or whatever. Do you guys have anything else to say, boys?
I've got a crucial one. Are you still playing the drums?
Yeah, I do, but it's only in public places after a couple because I don't have room for them right now. My kids' stuff. So every once in a while I can still get them.
What's your go-to? Someone invites you up
My
to
go-to
a kit.
song?
Yeah, someone invites you up to a kit and you got carte blanche. What are you tuning the band up with?
Probably one of my favorites ever is Highway to Hell, but a little known fact, I played drums with Garth Brooks at the Coliseum at Caesars. I played that song that summer once.
Wow.
For a charity gig, yeah.
Now that
played it once.
The coolest unexpected thing you've said all day. And,
wow.
Impressive. I get the feeling we could almost do another one of these. Maybe.
Well, we'll leave that for next time. That'll be the next one, yeah.
Yeah, we'll save that for next time. Listen, this has been really insightful, and I appreciate all the info on not only the cup wins, but everything, because it's an interesting path that you've had, fairly unique. And, you're a down-to-earth guy that was a great leader, and there's a reason you got a couple cups. Thank you for relaying all those stories and that message, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Oh, it's awesome, boys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris.
That was deadly.
All right.
Penny Posh, maternity wear reimagined, breaking the barriers of style, fit, and comfort that often leave mothers-to-be uninspired in their new wardrobe. Penny Posh's designs have reinvented a clothing category often seen as disposable, temporary, and unattractive. Well, not with Penny Posh. Check it out, a continuous fit maternity collection from bump to bundle and beyond. You can check them out on Twitter at Penny_Posh, on Instagram at PennyPosh_maternity, and of course on their website, www.pennyposhdesigns.com. Penny Posh Designs, maternity wear reimagined.
All right, huge thanks to Chris. That was great. And I want more of that Garth Brooks story. That one sounds kind of out of nowhere.
It feels like one that we could do more of. The thing about a lot of guests on here, obviously I have somewhat of a close or intimate relationship with, but Chris I've always really respected. Mm-hmm. We were opponents. I remember, congratulating him, shaking his hand. We've talked on the phone. We've exchanged messages all over social media the past few years, but I've never really sat down and, had a conversation face-to-face with Chris. So a lot of that was new to me. I knew the skeleton of it, and I was always, as you'll see when we get into the beginning, I mean, he was one of the first people I came across, and I might have even played that down. He hit me so fucking hard, man. It's the first body check I ever remember getting. And my dad, actually, I remember you asked me, not that you asked, when we did go out west and we took that, it was with a Newfoundland team called Geo All-Stars Bantam Team that we went out there. And, Dad kind of, Tri-City were there scouting, and he knew that the Western League was a possibility. Yeah. And wanted me to go there. But when I got hammered, I came in, I said, holy shit, like I'm hurting so I think I got wind knocked out of me. And he looked at me and said, that's why you're going to the Western Hockey League. In other words, you're going to run across that all the time, and the better you can learn to maneuver with guys like that, the better you'll be.
No, that's great.
It was Chris Dingman.
Buddy. And again, and it was one of those things where, we've been talking about having Chris on now. We knew we were having him on this episode for a few days, and I knew he had won with Colorado and Tampa Bay, but it didn't click with me that it was he was there for both Bork and Anderchuk, who were two of the longest serving.
Yeah,
it was
just
didn't click with me until we were talking about. I'm like, those guys got traded for each other, and he got to be there for both their cups. That's so cool that he got to. It's
and not only that, what people don't realize, I wasn't
trying to get you guys to pump my tires about the question, but
I missed it. I missed it over when I was doing some research.
I just missed as that part, but it was such a great thing that he got to be part of both those. And I mean, so they're two of the most kind of storied cups over the last while. And I mean, we've had Mierzy on, who's also part of that Colorado team and stuff. So it's great to get a chance to talk to guys like that, who've had great careers. And he's played both his Stanley Cup wins came in Game 7. Now, speaking of Game 7, Mr. Game 7, stepping back a little bit. News came out yesterday.
Great segue.
Wasn't that all right? That was almost Justin Williams not officially retiring, but stepping back from the game. which is an interesting one. It's not one you get a lot at a guy that stage of his career.
Can we rename this to the Mike Fisher special? This is just a Mike Fisher special. He'll be back.
Fisher
He'll
came
be back
back.
in January. He'll be back in January. He'll
But
be
I
playing.
can totally see if he wanted to. Like for me, guys get that. I would be surprised if a younger player or someone not as accomplished kind of tried to call their shot like that. But he's been around so long.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Storied career, right?
Storied career. He's getting older. I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm going to sit back. Maybe in the back of his mind, he only wants to play half a year. Maybe it's hurting his body, and maybe he'll find out if he sits out half the year that I don't want to come back at all. But some people that are looking to retire, and I've heard this a lot, they might think they want to retire in July, but wait till you're not playing for 2 months and you see the league happening, and now you're at home going, you know what, I'm in good shape. Like, fuck me, I could have played. I don't know why. And that's why A, you see a lot of guys come back, and B, it's becoming more of a thing to kind of do this. And I don't fault him one bit. I don't fault fucking anybody that it's your own personal decision.
Even if he retired, he'd had a great career. But I just think it's like, he probably, it's the same thing. He doesn't know if he wants to play or not. Now the summer dwindled away, and it's like, well, shit, if I go in now, I'm not in the shape that I can be. Let's see if I really do miss it by the time November rolls around.
Exactly.
If I do, I'll be in the same shape I would be in January. You still get to play fucking close to 40 games.
Yeah.
I mean, a hockey season for a guy who's that age is almost like putting your body through war.
He'll turn 38 the day after the season opens. Their season starts on October 3rd would be their first game. He turns 38 on the 4th.
We're getting close.
Some guys have, he's going to figure out which guy is. Some guys, like, let's say an extreme example, Claude Lemieux, who kept coming back into his mid-40s. But they clearly love the game, right?
I don't know if this is true, but they said that was a bar bet. Claude Lemieux coming back when he was 42.
Was he? I think he was even older.
The rumor.
Are you talking about the San Jose comeback?
Yeah, the rumor behind that was he was out to a bar with a bunch of his buddies, and he said, I could come back. And they all laughed at him and were like, not a chance. He'd been 6 years removed. And he ended up fucking playing in China and then still clawed his way back to the Sharks.
Well, I remember him being... I was there then.
On a two-way.
Ryan Clough played with the Sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And when they came to Calgary, we all went out. It just seemed to me, I mean, that could be the case, but it seemed to me that he wanted to play. And, like, I remember asking him about it. I met him briefly in Montreal when they played the World Cup in '96, and USA won it on a goal from Adam Debmarsh. I just remember talking with him, and he put it this way. He seemed determined. He didn't seem like a guy who wanted to give up on hockey even at that age. Other people... Well, give up might be the wrong word, but he still wasn't at peace with leaving the game. Other people like Teddy Purcell, I remember, had the same thing kind of in his mind. I don't want to speak for him, that Justin Williams does, but Teddy was out of it for a few months and said, you know what, I'm totally fine with this. It's a hard game. I've made some good money. I can keep working within the game, and I do not want to go back. And some people are different than others. I think, if it was me, you get all kinds of feelings surrounding surrounding the next upcoming season. Not like I'm a fucking grizzled vet like Justin Williams, but, everybody has to make that decision, whether it's leaving pro or whatever it might be. Even with St. John's Caps, I play senior, and at some point, I'm not even getting paid. Like, I play it because it's fun. At some point, I still love to do it, but it's going to, you just turn the page because you're not having fun. And, a guy like Justin Williams, money's not the issue. Right?
Yeah.
Just, do I want to risk, or do I want to put my body through that? Like you said, Chuck, it's harder and harder every year.
Does he want to come back out and try to pull away from Glenn Anderson for the solo Game 7 goal title? Right now he's got the most Game 7 points, but he's tied with Anderson for goals.
Hey, one guy I come back to whenever I hear decisions like that is, does anyone remember when Nick Lidstrom kind of retired half suddenly? It was Nick Lidstrom's line was, I want to be done with the game before I wake up and discover the game is done with me. Mm-hmm. And that, not to put, I don't know, Justin Williams from anybody, but I can imagine it's a more haunting feeling of being like, Jesus Christ, I can't do this anymore. I think that would be more haunting than
I don't know.
Like,
I think Williams he's like I said, he's getting ready to turn, he's 37. He's getting ready to turn 38. He's not that old. in term, you know, like
No,
I mean,
he's
there's not that
not.
many. There's not that many guys still up that age playing, but at the same time, that he was still an effective guy throughout the playoffs this year, throughout their whole run.
He
as
was,
being, you know,
but
he's
like
such a
Chuck's
huge part of that
saying,
team. Yeah,
At some point, he won't be.
yeah.
And
Like, as much as I love Jaromir Jagr, and even 2 years out, he had fucking 20. But if someone's 10 years old and is in Calgary, they're going to remember, oh, that guy couldn't even make our team.
Yeah.
And you don't want,
boy, that was tough to watch.
you know what I mean? It was really awkward to watch. I didn't even want to watch the games anymore.
Oh,
And it's
man.
and you know, I love him. I love his passion. It outweighs everything else. And my opinion of him it only got better as time went on. I actually
That year in Florida he had, though. Oh, Jesus,
it was great.
man. Oh, that was some of the most exciting hockey.
It would have been nice because after that it was done. Like he was signed there. There was no hiccups. But I remember after that, like when he went to Calgary, it was like everybody was waiting and anticipating, and remember he was putting out tweets like, "I'm ready. I still want to play," and and he came back, and it was really awkward to watch. And you don't want, and I just use that as an example, but there's all kinds of guys that wear out their welcome, and you know, whether you want a legacy or whatever. I mean, he probably doesn't give a shit, but. You know, I mean, because his legacy is going to be massive anyway.
Yeah.
But there are going to be people that only remember, you know, that side of Jaromir Jagr, and you know, it can be uncomfortable.
Even Mario Lemieux. Think about how many people got into the Pittsburgh Penguins and watching them, and their national broadcasting stuff just tripled when Sidney Crosby joined in. That first half of the season where Lemieux stuck around with Crosby before he retired, how many people are going to have their memories of Lemieux being like,
I think
"Fuck,
that's different."
this guy skates like a tractor"?
Yeah, he still had to point a game. He had like 25 points in 21 games or something.
This last year? Really?
I'll
Yeah,
confirm. I'm on it.
Something like that.
I'm on it. And
I think Lemieux is a total exception. First of all, he's owning the team. So he's trying to get people, you know.
Well, I'm not. I will never shit talk.
No, but I mean,
Mario
Lemieux didn't put out a tweet. Lemieux wasn't looking for a game. If it wasn't Pittsburgh,
22 points in 26 games.
I remember people remembering him.
But Lemieux again. So
22
you're right,
and
but 22 and 26 is still fucking unbelievable. Jagr had like 2 and 20.
Yeah.
Right, that's different. Like, yeah, Lemieux was still coming back doing it. That's amazing to me. What you could do with all those games that he missed.
Oh.
Think if you count his last game and his first game, how many games in between did he not play hockey? And at the end, I mean, he was just a pale comparison, a shadow of what he was, and he was still getting a point a game.
Yeah, I mean, like let's not forget the year where he played 22 and got 37. After what was that? That was the back stuff, right? It was the first thing, and then he came back, and the year after coming back from cancer, from being off for 3 seasons or whatever, comes back and puts up 76 points in 43 games.
Yeah,
that's just
right.
nuts.
Hold on, what
He's-
year was
he's-
this? That was his retirement.
That was he coming back from retirement. That
Still
wasn't
amazing.
cancer. That wasn't the
Look
cancer
at those
one,
numbers, man. They're still
that's
fucking.
correct.
And what I love about it is that people at the time, now you might say, you know, comparing eras, but we were in, let's say, post 2000. People equate that with, you know, well, Lemieux scored in the 80s because it was the 80s and the goalies sucked. Gretzky had already done. He was the only argument left, and he was still doing it. I remember people in the early 2000s going, "What the fuck are you talking about? The goalies suck." He's still doing it. He's fucking older now with cancer, with problems. He can't do up his skates, and he's still getting numbers that are astronomical compared to the new guys.
I don't know if you could find. He was always a smart player. I don't know if you could find it on YouTube, but one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's the Penguins were. It was against Jersey in the playoffs. And anyhow, there was a guy going to go offside, and Lemieux just turned he was dragging on the play, but he turned his stick around and literally pushed the player onside quicker than the guy that was skating up with the rush with him. I don't know if you'd be able to find it on YouTube, but it was like the most diabolical thing I've ever seen. Like, they were going in,
Crazy.
and I know Jersey put them out in that, was it Jersey that put them out? I don't know. It would have been like 2001 or 2002.
Yeah.
It was definitely when he came back from retirement, and he just flicks his stick around and pushes the guy, so he gets that little extra. And like, it looks goofy, but it was actually like really brilliant.
Well, it's what's the in the Olympics, wasn't it? The skip pass where he just let the pass go because he knew again was
Best
coming up
player of the
behind him.
Olympics, and he didn't get a point on
didn't
it.
get a point on it. It's
But
nuts.
that's a thing, right? What year was that?
That was 2002. Yeah.
So in
That might have been the same
2002.
fucking year,
It
actually.
might- no.
In 02, he was still, after all that,
Yeah.
he was still playing on the Olympic team.
Yeah, he came. Yeah, that's the thing is. So he went. So it was 92, 93, or 93, 94 was the year he came. I think it was 92, 93 was the year he came back from cancer.
Yeah.
Then there was the lockout after that. Then he missed 3 seasons where he had just retired.
Now imagine
and then he
that,
came
guys.
back after 3
Now just think
seasons
about that.
in 2001. And that was when he put up the 43
December
games,
27th.
76 points.
Wait. So 2001.
Yeah.
Now just think about that. Because he didn't play the whole year, people forget that. But that was on pace to win the fucking scoring championship.
Oh, yeah,
think
yeah.
about it. 76 points, 43
43 games. That's nuts.
After 3 seasons of not playing and not expecting to.
Yeah.
And not training, not doing fuck all, still can't do up his own skates.
Basically a publicity gimmick because he just bought the team, and so he's like, "Well, I just bought the team from."
I don't know if it's
people at the
publicity
time
gimmick.
saying about
No,
the
but-
goalies in the '80s, and I
Yeah.
used to say we were changing eras at that point. I don't know if the leading scorer that year had fucking 2 points a game, but we were starting to get in because the new rules came out. Remember, with scoring's down in 2004, so we got to open it up a little bit. Obstruction. We were well into that, and he was still getting those fucking numbers.
He used to complain
really
about clutching and grabbing,
Yeah.
slowing down the game in literally the 80s. He's
Yeah.
like, this is making the game too boring. It's a garage league. You can't have fellas hanging off of other fellas. And this is an
And
era
you
of
would know because he's
goaltending.
actually like scored with 3 guys hanging off him.
Well, this is an era of goaltending as well. Like when he's tearing it up here, he's not going against the 80s goalies. He's going against Marty Brodeur in his peak. He's going against Dominic Hasek in his peak.
Patty Waugh in his peak.
Patty Waugh.
Well, not his peak.
Close enough.
His renaissance.
His renaissance. I know he came back against a game against the Leafs, and that Leafs team, buddy, they were no slouch, and he got like 4 points his first game back.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you this. Like,
I meant that kids would remember only
I know.
the sunlight of Mario Lemieux.
Yeah.
I was not throwing shade at Mario. I would never.
I know you weren't, but I said even if they did, it's better than, you know. I
better than
just
nothing.
think
Better
I think
than
he went out way better than Jagr, or Chris Chelios, for example.
Oh, yeah.
We were
Great
talking about
careers.
Justin Williams, right? That's
If you watch the whole career,
Yeah.
you know, it'd be
Chelios
different.
is a
I'm
guy
not
that
shitting on these guys. You finish in the coast. One thing, it speaks for their passion. I just mean like a lot of guys, like I don't know. Let's just say Joe Sakic. We just talked about the Avalanche a little bit. You know, I think I remember seeing the press conference. He was 37, 38. You know, he was having. You know, the exception I can say is Steve Yzerman because he became a different player. Steve Yzerman late on became a fourth liner, but he could play the fourth. Like it's not like Jagr or Lemieux is going to go out there and play on the fourth line. Like, come on. But Yzerman took that role and ran with it.
He became a
lead guy.
shutdown specialist.
So I guess it depends. And by the way, I'm more than anything respect their passion that they wanted to keep playing. Maybe if I was in that position, I probably would too. I just mean there is a decision a lot of these guys got to make, and it's there's something to be said for all of a sudden being a healthy scratch and you're one of the highest scorers ever. And how long do you really want to do that?
Even Howe. Look at Howe. Howe was a guy who played 25 years with the Red Wings. He retired. Didn't play at all for 2 years, wasn't planning to. Came back, played 6 seasons in the WHA, and then came back and did one last year in the NHL and was an all-star as a 52-year-old
and like
or
I
whatever.
said, more than and having everything done, didn't need the money.
Yeah.
Although he got underpaid, but I'm just saying it wasn't a monetary decision. And so more than anything, I respect these guys that they love the game and that they wanted to keep going. I go back to Eric Lindros going through fucking concussions and everything.
Yeah.
Just pointing out that there is something to be said. That's all. For going out rather rough. But I was going to point out this as well. So I think the top 3 players ever, in no particular order, are Gretzky or Lemieux. And 3 of them are different. I don't think you can really compare. If I had to add a 4th, maybe Howe, because he's different again. And, you know, it's hard to really compare all of them. Like we just talked about Lemieux, but A's just way bigger. He shoots right, let's say, than Gretzky's direct competition. He was injured half of his career. You know, he was definitely more of a dangler. But Gretzky, again, probably wasn't quite Lemieux to look at, but with those numbers, I mean, Gretzky could have no goals ever, even though he's a leading scorer, and still have won the scoring just on assists career. Bobby Orr, defenseman, to win the scoring. So there's 3 of them are really, really different, right? And then Howe, I guess, throw in a fucking elbow in the chops and a few Art Rosses. So there is something to be said. I can understand all the arguments. But of all of them, I find it tough that Lemieux is kind of getting, like, when I have hockey schools, for example, the first 3 I talked about, Howe was forever ago, and people still know. But you know, with Wally Bray and we had Newfoundland Ice Dogs Hockey School this summer. And I just ended up, you know, you do them every week. So I got to realize that a lot of people didn't know who Lemieux was. So I started like telling the kids in one whole speech, because, you know, half of it is a hockey talk or an hour a day. So I would put up Lemieux's highlights and everything. I'd show them, and no one could believe it. And I told them the stats and everything. And I can't believe, you know, like growing up, I figured, you know, everybody is always going to know Elvis. That's never going to, you know, and it is starting to go the other way. But like, I figured just like that, like everybody, there's no one that will forget Mario Lemieux. Like, he's unbelievable. But the other guys, no one did forget. I'm not saying now he's forgotten. But the funny thing is, like, Pittsburgh have had success since. They've won cups. He's right there. But for some reason, a lot of kids don't know who Mario Lemieux is. And I'm going, holy shit, like, we're only about 15 years out here. And you can argue about who's the best. I hate to compare greatness. But I know who my favorite was to watch.
Yeah.
And that was Lemieux.
I just had a small, like, mental lapse. It's been 15 years since Swass gave it up, eh?
Yeah, man.
Holy fuck.
So,
yeah,
you know,
that's scary to think about.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, you know, a lot of people, I mean, like the kids that come up and, you know, now, I mean, I guess it would be like me in 1990 thinking about, not even Bobby Clark. He played beyond that. Like, you know, in 1990, I was 13. Well, 15 years before that was 1975. Like Phil Esposito or something.
Yeah.
Esposito, Marcel Dion.
Yeah. Like those guys were in my head somehow. I had no fucking idea how good Phil Esposito was.
Yeah.
But I knew who he was. And Bobby Orr, and, you know, I knew. And there was still not as many avenues to see it.
Yeah.
I just figured, and the other thing is, in this day and age of YouTube hits, I'm like, how can his not get the most?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God, he was a magician.
The highlights. Yeah,
type in, there's like 18 versions of top 10 goals with him. And
Minnesota North Stars Stanley Cup 1991.
Yeah,
man.
oh, best ever.
Boy.
When you saw him go at two defensemen and go around them both and then make the goalie look stupid.
Yeah, like the old baby clip I've grabbed for the Bob goal moment is from a YouTube highlight of Mario Lemieux.
Look at Lemieux. Look at Lemieux. Here he comes.
100%.
I will, like, I was 3 when that happened, but I've seen that enough in my lifetime from YouTube and from Hockey Night in Canada, from all that stuff. That it'll be like when I'm dead and my synapses
I remember
are
watching
getting their
it.
last little bit out. That'll be in there.
I remember watching it. That's the first cup game I remember watching.
Really?
Yeah, that's that was the first one I remember seeing.
I distinctly remember why. I remember exactly where I was for that one. And I'm not going to divulge it because it was somewhere I shouldn't have been. There was a female in the bed. What was I, 13?
Jesus.
So, yeah, even this many years later, I don't want to say because my buddy liked this girl. He might even have been going out with her. And there's a few of us, myself and I believe Jeremy Charles was there, Gary Clark. We were at a party downstairs. I'm just not going to say where it was. And I came down because I heard fucking Jeremy let out the big roar. Jesus! Wow! Right? Again, no phone that you could look at. So I ran down over the stairs and I watched the replay of Lemieux just going knife through butter fucking Minnesota North Stars. It was one of the best fucking hockey memories. And it just seemed, the other thing, when you look at these highlights, because, I mean, the highlights are magnificent, Mario the Magnificent, and they'll blow you away, but what a lot of people forget is that, like, for every one of those, there's like 10 that didn't go in the net. But he owned the play. Like, he did that rush the whole way down. Yeah. It just wasn't finished with a goal. But, I mean, that guy, every time he had the puck, it was just like, I played one game against him, like I said, and I didn't even play. I sat on the bench the entire game. I didn't get one shift, but I remember, your front row seats to an NHL game, and you're right there. You see the players. And it was just like, it just seemed like everybody gave him, it's like he had a bubble around him. Like they gave him so much space. And when I say that, I don't mean that they were doing him a favor by not hitting him. I mean, he had such a long reach that if you went to like poke it on him, he'd like pull it way out. He'd like and he was like toe dragging before it was a thing. And he'd like pull it way out, and his wingspan is like a fucking albatross. So he'd pull it one side of his body right to the other, and you're talking about like a 15-foot sway.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to challenge him because then, he could pull it on the other side, and now he's around you. Right, and that was what he was thinking. He's like a fucking predator, man, like a shark with the fucking blood in the water. Like, he's looking up. Who's weak? Who do I go to? Where's the opening? And he was just thinking that, like, right from he was just 5 steps ahead of the play. And I didn't see Orr in his prime. I played against Gretzky, had a hat trick that night, and was really impressive and a nice guy. And you look at those highlights, but it just seemed. And again, I played against Gretzky when he was in his last year, so it wasn't really the Wayne Gretzky that we all know. Lemieux was a bit younger, and I just mean, and first fucking vision, he was mesmerizing to watch, mesmerizing.
All right. And I think, yeah.
I think he should come out of retirement.
If he did, it wouldn't surprise me if he fucking...
He'd probably still put up some decent numbers.
Yeah,
Let's not get ourselves...
Get 10.
On that though, I'd say we send off for the week. It's been a great episode. Thanks again to Chris Dingman, and for everybody again. Remember, homestandsports.com. You can go get tickets for our live event. It's free to attend, but you just got to RSVP and kind of book that in advance, so you can get that there at homestandsports.com. You can find all that information from us at 3MI Podcast. I'm Hickey Kama Mike.
I'm Smokes Indoors.
And I am Terry Ryan 20 on Twitter and Terry Ryan 2020 on Instagram.
All right. Well, and like I said, you can find us all those places and keep up to date with everything that's going on.
Lastly, I always forget to say this. I'm going to say it every pod now. So, public speaking and I guess like personal hockey lessons, whatever it might be. I should have a website or something. I don't, but I get a lot of calls about these things. So, I'm available. And actually, like, we're doing our Third Man In podcast on September 14th from the Rec Room. If you're at a town near us and you want us to come through, we can talk. We're just starting that process. Next month, I'm going to Toronto to do a stand-up gig with Tyler Morrison. More of an interview and hockey stories thing. But anyway, all these things, I don't have an agent. We don't really have an agent. So it's a lot of it's just random texts that I sort through that I ended up following up on. So I'd like to announce it, and if you guys out there want some of the action, just shoot one of us a message.
All right.
Book us for your Christmas party.
That won't be a complete fucking mess. But until then, we'll be back next week to shout at you about hockey. And, of course, again, we'll be shouting live about hockey at the Rec Room on September 14th. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll be back next week.
Why do you hang around with the worst crowd?